There we go. That's better. Oh, hello. People in the chat already. Hi there. Shalach et ami. Shalach et ami. V'ya'avduni b'midbar. Let my people go, that they may worship me in the desert. Bloodnose says hello. Yudiao is here. BMXer is Robert. Sneezer is here. I'm still waiting to pop up. And here I am. I'm live. It's the Nazarite bringing you Hebrew lore from days of yore. Although in recent streams it's been more about the war, and that is a different kind of yore. Elul, says Robert Harrison. Yes, Rosh Chodesh is coming up. The first of Elul is Wednesday. It's a 2-day Rosh Chodesh, where it's the 30th of the current month, right, of Av, and then the first Aleph of Elul, or the 6th month, biblically speaking. And I blow the horn, I blow the shofar on the first day of the month. I mentioned that recently. Shh. Okay. Just a moment. Excuse me. Baby's sleeping, come on. Okay. Hebrew lore from these days of war, says Bloodnose. Yes, indeed. My God. What a situation. Yodidiao says, Yodidiao says, or asks, Robert, you believe in Babylonian deities, BMXer says? Because Elul. There are certain names of the months that after the Babylonian exile we adopted. It's no foreign thing for the Hebrew faith to adapt foreign things. Sometimes it's you're able to, make it kosher, if you will, or more in tune with the Hebrew path. And sometimes it's you thinking you're going the right way when in fact you're sort of going astray. For better or worse, taking on foreign things comes with its... Whoops, I'll put it on mute. Beep, 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 boop, boop. There. Wait, now it fell. Hang on a second. Okay, there we go. Shalom everyone, said Sneezer. Didyao says, hey Mr. HN, can you give us some Hebrew lore on this verse? You mentioned this in a previous live stream. If I remember correctly, the mainstream understanding is that huchal is from chol, meaning the mundane, the regular, not as opposed to the sacred and the holy. It's not necessarily profane, but it's not sacred, right? Chol. It's said, at least according to one school of thought, commentary, and way of looking at the verse, that is the generation of Enosh, where God's name became something which people used in a mundane way, not in a sacred way. In part, this is also why many people say Hashem, they say the name in Hebrew. They don't say a name, they say the name. In order to really set the name apart and only use it in verses, in Torah study, in prayer, but not in daily, regular, mainstream conversation. I don't do that most of the time. Very rarely these days I'll say the word Hashem. I blew real shofar once, it was an honor. What was the honor? Because seemingly it's just a ram's horn. Was it constructed specifically? What type of shofar was it? There was a real shofar, so I'm thinking it was from the get-go created and taken in order for it to be a ram's horn of blowing on festivals, new moons, etc. So how would I translate huchal, right? Huchal likro. I think it's a little difficult. But it certainly does seem like beginning, hatchala. But I understand those because it's not huchal. Huchal can be it started or it began. In the very same way that Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the revelation they were intimate with is El Shaddai. And Adonai, right? Lo nodati lahem. They didn't know the name, even though it does say the name spoke to them. There was a revelation of that name, but there's having it being revealed to you, and there's knowing it. Those are two separate things. And so, Huchal likro b'shem Adonai. Perhaps it says something about the nature of the relationship between humanity and the divine. Because remember, Shet is the son that followed Cain, right? Cain and Abel, if I'm not mistaken. Shet has the shin and the tav, which are part of the root word of foundation. Shin tav tav, if that's the root. I think it's the root. And so, Huchal likro b'shem Adonai, it could very well be that in that generation there was something where Shet being in the image of Adam, where Cain and Hevel were not quite there. And then for him to have a son, it's said, right, that evolutionarily speaking, being a grandfather, that's it. You can check out after that. If you've managed to procreate and your progeny managed to procreate, evolutionarily speaking, you did your job. I've heard that opinion. And so for Shet, for Adam, right? For Adam to have Shet, and then Enosh, and that's the first verse in Chronicles, Adam, Shet, Enosh, if I'm not mistaken, skipping over Cain and Hevel. Adam, Shet, Enosh. Shet had something about him that the first two did not. And he had a son called Enosh. It's also in Arabic and Aramaic, Nash. Az huchal likro b'shem Adonai could be that it became a mainstream, mundane, regular thing and people didn't use it in sacredness or for sacred purposes. It could be that where before Adonai was known, let's say, and now they sort of bumped him down to a deity whose name can be used as any other, let's say, lower deity, if you will, or force, spiritual force, physical force of nature. These are the divine revelations, and some people attribute divinity to the revelation, and these become the gods, right? Like the god of thunder, or the god of love, the goddess of love, or there's that anthropomorphosis of the divine. That's how we relate. The Torah says, don't mistake these forces of nature and the stars and the moon and the sun, let's say, for deities. You have one God, one Hebrew God. Huchal likro b'shem Adonai could mean that he was bumped down, but I don't know. So that's how those are my thoughts on the verse. I don't know if it answers your question, but it is how I'm looking at it. I'm trying to not look at it from a rabbinic, orthodox, point of view. I'm trying to look at it as if I'm reading it for the first time, but with obviously some prior knowledge at the word huchal. So Nizar says, I'd like to try a shofar someday. Between my tuba of old and trumpet of new, going well, good to hear it. I could probably get a good tone going, indeed. And it is, as I've said, the last non-vegan thing that I do, insofar as ritual worship is concerned. Kiviti Adonai, kivita nafshi v'lidvaro hochalti. The Psalms. The Psalms. Yodidiahu. Yep. Hey, my woman was on. Hello, woman. Good to see you. Yodidiahu says the Hebrew 7th month should always be in September. Sept is 7, Oct is 8, Nov is 9, Des is 10. I didn't remember that Nov is 9. I remembered the rest. So, how would you, right, if it's septagon, octagon in shapes, what would the Nov be? How would you make it into a shape? Is it a novagon? I'd always be laughing like a clown. Yes, BMXers, concrete jungle. Can huchal mean hope? מלשון להוכיל. ולדברו הוכלתי. אז הוכל. Very good, could be. אז הוכל, מלשון לייחל. That's very good. That didn't even cross my mind. Yodidiao, thank you so much for this, for opening up my mind. I didn't even think of that. It could. Now, you would have, I don't know the final rules of dikduk. Maybe a good person of dikduk would say, somebody who actually knows it would say, I don't even know not the finer points and not the major, and not the rough points of dikduk. But I do like using nikud, and I use it often. Okay, so when I write, I mean when I write with a pen or a pad, not on the computer. So yeah, concrete jungle. BMXer says, by the way, there's a BMXer who has only one leg. They push him when he wants to do a trick or a line of tricks. Right, and then it's just the inertia keeping things going. I love that. I love dog and shofar duets, says Ariel Marshall. Still too hot. Still too hot. Now that's some inspiring it says BMXers. It's true. That really is inspiring. A BMXer who does tricks, right? Not just someone who rides one, but one who does tricks with one leg. Awesome. Bloodnose says it was a ram's shofar. Rabbi brought it to class to show off. That's nice. Was it short or long? Mine is short. Something like this. Sanizer says Yod, but aren't those Roman or Greek names? No, I don't think they're Roman or Greek. Wait, I'm sorry. Are we talking about the Babylonian? Are we talking about the foreign names of the months, or are we talking about something else that I missed? Oh, I'm sorry. He's talking about the Christian, pagan, or whatever, Roman. Yeah, I think it is Roman, or maybe Roman and Greek. BMXer says to Ariel, reminds me of our late doggo. She doesn't howl. Pinky doesn't howl, by the way. I don't think I've ever heard her howl. A good ow. No, I don't think ever. Yodidiao says, also, can you give us some lore about Jerusalem? Wasn't Jerusalem inhabited by the Jebusi? Yeah, the Yevusim had it before. David captured it. Before Joshua and possibly during the days of Avraham. Yes, I'm not sure when, but the Yevusi were some of the people in the land. Before Joshua, possibly during the days of Avraham. Possibly during the days of Avraham. Yevusi, I'm trying to recall. But yes, at the time in the book of Samuel, David captures it, calls it Ir David. Ariel Marshall says, sounds like the rudimental music video, Waiting All Night. Waiting all night by whom? Whose music video? Jerusalem was a pagan city. Why would Adonai choose it as a place for his name? Well, let's put it this way. It's said that let's put it this way, Har HaMoriah, where Isaac is bound, is said to be the Temple Mount. And it's said that when God created Adam from the earth, some of that earth was from that mountain, if I'm not mistaken. And there's a connection there between human and land, between the sacredness, the potential sacredness of the land and the potential sacredness of the human being. The land, since the land missed the mark too, on Tuesday, on the third day, right? Instead of fruit tree bearing fruit, the land yielded fruit-bearing trees. But was supposed to also have that flavor of the fruit and the sweetness of it and the goodness and the benefits and the nutrients. It was only confined to the fruit itself, but the rest of the tree, even though it is necessary for the fruit to come into being, it doesn't have the flavor, the sweetness of the fruit, its bark and its wood and its leaves and the things that don't taste like the fruit. The land sinned, and then Adam was created from the land. And so we both have something to make up for. We both have a potential that we have still not yet manifested fully. With us, it's the fruit of the tree of life that we hopefully will get to as one unified human race soon, please God. And the land, I wouldn't know. I'm very much, I wouldn't know. But that's how I see it anyway. So Adonai chooses it as a place for his name because there's a connection there between the earth and between humanity and Eden. And it was something that, let's put it this way, it seems that it was a center, like a spiritual center. It seems that it had, its name went before it. Let's put it that way. Septa is Latin for seven. Okay, so what? Greek, Roman, oh, I'm sorry, so sept, so it's Latin, all of them, or is it Greek and Roman as well? Yod, God often uses, says Sneezer, the misguided for his greatest works. Yodidiao, people in the chat, why do you think Jerusalem was chosen if it was pagan? Or maybe, again, initially it had this great spiritual force and pagans took over it, let's say. But, or maybe not. Why do you think Jerusalem was chosen if it was chosen? Where's Robert? Was he here before? I don't recall. Yes, he was. Maybe he'll come back. HN, in your opinion, who killed the 6 hostages? Was it Hamas, the Hannibal directive? Neil Warren. Hello, Neil Warren. No. I don't think it was Nohal Hannibal. I think that Hamas killed them, but I'm only basing this on the fact that there were signs of life throughout, and from the state of the bodies, from what I've gathered, and I haven't read much at all about it, I stay away from the news as much as I can, it was recent, and it was Hamas. Now this is Ktiv and Kri, notice. It says it twice, two sets of parentheses, okay? In what it says lo yuchlu, with a cholam, with a shuruk in the vav. And the kri, what you say, that's what you see with your eyes, what's written. What you say with your mouth is yachlu. Right, hold on, it's a kamatz. I think it's a kamatz. So, lo yachlu. Yuchlu is a future tense, and yachlu is in past tense. And so we see that it's one way written and in another way uttered. Just like the tetragrammaton, right? The name of Yod Hei Vav Hei. And this is because it's of the Mesorah, the tradition, that there's Kri and Ktiv. It appears in Torah, if I'm not mistaken. It's in Torah, and it's in the rest of the Bible too. Written one way, uttered another. Lo yachlu lehorisham. Hold on a second. Lo yachlu lehorisham. It jumped. Where were we? Okay. Vayeshev Yevusi et bnei Yehuda b'Yerushalayim ad hayom hazeh. Right. Okay. When Joshua and the conquest, right, the conquering war. When that happened, it was traditionally a 14-year war, and at the end of it, there were still some, I don't know the numbers, it might say them in several wars with several judges, but there were some enemies, let's say, that the people of Israel could not vanquish. The different tribes decided to, the Torah warns that things might happen if you leave your enemies right at your doorstep. And that's what happened. Bnei Yehuda, for instance, could not vanquish the Yevusi. Ronaldo or Messi. I haven't seen much of either one, but from the best of clips and things that I've seen, some newer, some older, while Ronaldo has, there's something about Messi and the way that both of them can run, both of them can shoot, both of them are world-class professionals, unique each in their own way. But I'm going with Messi over here. BMXer says, by the way, read the rest of last night's chat if you get to it and if you will. I would like to. I don't have it queued up, but I would like to. Why wouldn't Adonai change the name of the pagan city? What do you mean? What do you mean? I think that the Yevusi didn't rename it. I think it was Yerushalayim, Yerushalem. Yerushalayim is double. Yaim, the Yerushalayim, that denotes plural. And they say that there's a Yerushalayim shel Mala, a higher Jerusalem, Yerushalayim shel Mata, a lower Jerusalem. Z, hello everyone. I am the real voice of Jesus. I hope you are all being good. I'm not being as good as I could be, but I'm working on it. And hello, Z. Son Huang Hyung Min. Son Hyung Min, Ariel? What do you mean? Elaborate. I'm ignorant. We are all Christ, said Neil. We are all Christ. If you say so, I don't follow that kind of thinking, but good for you. At that point, said Sneezer, the animal is part of planet. At what point are you talking about? Hold on a sec. I'm not sure, were you referring to something that I was saying or that? Okay, I'm not sure. Noventa. Yeah, Noventa, that's the name of the shape. Noventa. Jordan Hudson. Hi, Jordan. Good to see you again. If I'm not mistaken, you're here again. The CIA, if not, welcome. The CIA did a secret program with me. Made me take crack mixed with methamphetamine. I'm assuming that's fentanyl. And now I can move shit with my mind. Well, first, I wouldn't put it past the CIA to do all kinds of secret programs, and maybe including crack mixed with meth and fetty. And I think that if you're able to overcome the addictive part of it, and if it was just a program for a short term, but it really, really affected your mental capacity, then okay, use it for good. Use your telekinesis, for better and to be a blessing in people's lives. Christ consciousness, the second coming, will be plural. What do you mean by that, Neil? Can you elaborate? What do you mean by Christ consciousness? And what do you mean by the second coming will be plural? Sneezer says to Jason, I didn't need to do all that to move shit with my mind. It controls my body just fine. First one, then two, says Neil. One, then two? Could you elaborate? I like that one will be plural is. I move stuff without my mind also, Ariel says. Justin, hello. Is there a bird's nest in that beard? Holy shit. No bird's nest? A bird flew into my hair twice. Very years apart. But no bird has perched on my beard as of yet. Yodidiahu says, וצלע האלף והיבוסי היא ירושלים, גבעת קריית ערים, 14 וחצריהן, זאת נחלת בני בנימין למשפחותם. So if I'm not mistaken, that's Joshua, right? So Nizar says, Neil Warren, I confirm it probably wasn't first, though it felt like 6 years ago. Wait, I confirm it probably wasn't first, though, felt 6 years ago. What, moving things with your mind? I'm not sure what you mean. Or do you mean about the plural? Or, Blackpink? Medina Kurtovic asks, I do not know Blackpink. What is Blackpink? Yodidiahu says, according to Sefer Yehoshua, Jerusalem is in the land of Binyamin. Right, so Joshua, that's what I thought. It sounded like a verse from Joshua, seeing how it was talking about the inheritance. And according to Sefer Yehoshua, Jerusalem is in the land of Binyamin. Yep, that's right. Straight up. Written right there. Neil Warren says, thanks, Anizar. Do you know Blackpink? No, I don't, Medina, but I hope that you'll get this and maybe explain, or someone else in the chat, what is Blackpink? Neil, I'm very hopeful for a 7-year mark, but if it's winter's solstice, that means I was first, LOL. If after, it's just slower than I thought by a long shot. So yes, moving things with your mind. That's why she does not want to howl. Why doesn't she want to howl? You had a message retracted there. I thought in some Hebrew lore Abraham made a brit with the inhabitants of Jerusalem. Yeah, Melchizedek Melech Shalem. Right, Lechem ve'yayin v'hu choen le'elyon. When the 4 against the 5, the kings, when Avraham is not Avraham, he's still Avram. I think then is when they say Yerushalayim is mentioned. I think that's when it says. So yes, there is that thought. But whatever name you give it, it has 70 names according to tradition. Yerushalayim has 70 names. Whatever you call it, it's been so much blood, rivers of blood run through this city. But still, I say, there's something so fundamentally good and kind and righteous about this city and about, well, the potential of the city and the people who inhabit it, whatever religion they are. If there can be so much war over this place, there can also be that great a peace. And if right now we, let's say, hate each other's guts and are enemies forever, the peace that we will have eventually, a warm, true peace of brotherhood, not just a cold, tenuous peace of I don't attack you, you don't attack me. I mean, going to Gaza for some hummus on Friday afternoon, summertime. Only God knows, my friend, Neil says. Amen, said Sneezer. Justin said, BMXer says to Justin, you've never seen a really big beard. It's true, mine is rather short. I like it better that way, knowing everything sucked. So yeah, you say you had a revelation and then you sort of came back down to earth. You like it better that way. Slower than I thought, you said. But it's good. It's good that you're, if I understand you correctly, it's good that you are where you are now. You still have that awareness that you have with the revelation, but it's not something it's not a hindrance in any way, let's say. Right? You used the word confirm before that, and you've confirmed certain things, and now you're walking that path. I understand, in so far as my experience has, have mirrored it a little bit. I understand what you mean. Neil says, I find it okay, LOL. Yedidiahu says, or it was an oath Avram made with the Yevusis. Well, look. There was Eshkol, Aner, and Mamre. They were his allies in that war. And, right, he was in Elonei Mamre. Were they Yevusim? I don't recall. Were they on Yevusi territory? I don't recall. Sorry, I don't recall. I don't know if I've ever learned it or if I learned it and forgotten it. And once again, I'll say, as they say, as the sages say, if you don't repeat it, you're doomed to forget it. Repeat your studies. Repeat your studies. Go over things again. And I say that to myself primarily, and to you guys if you're learning things, go over it again. Have a lovely evening, morning, y'all, my woman says. Sneeuwer says hi, or Sneeuwer, if it's Dutch. Sneeuwer. Hi, hello to you. You too, Mrs. Nazarite. Free Assyria, long live Sancheriv. Crooked Rose, P.O.D. Well, Sancheriv got his comeuppance. Let's put it that way. With Tzidkiyahu and Sancheriv and everything that went on there, he was so sure that he's going to take that city. But no. Sancheriv, however, it says that he bilbelet ha'umot, he confused all the nations. It's said that because of Sancheriv, king of Assyria, right? Because of his string of conquest, he sort of confused all the nations. Your wife is cheating on you, says Karsten Kushinsky. Really? How do you know we're just not, how do you know we don't just roll like that in an open relationship? Yodidiahu says, so the place where, oh, wait, Karsten. She's not cheating on me, not cheating. She's not having consensual non-monogamy with you, is she? You know, you're in for a world of good. Yodidiahu says, so the place where he chooses his name is more connected with Abraham and Yitzchak. It could very well be. I don't know. Because what does that mean, connected, right? Yerushalayim is the holy city, where the temple is. There are sort of 10 kedushot, as they say. And Yerushalayim is it's one of the 4 holy cities, but it's the holiest city in the sense that it was literally the most set apart. The 4 holy cities correspond to the 4 elements and to the 4-letter name of God, right? With Yerushalayim being fire and Hebron being earth, Tzfat being wind or spirit or air, and Tveria being the water, Kinneret. And the fire having the sacrificial offerings and the fire of the altar on the Temple Mount in Jerusalem, I can see the correspondence. That city that's trying to reach higher. People usually don't speak of a higher Tiberias, a higher Tzfat, or a higher Hebron, but they do speak of a Yerushalayim Shel Ma'ala, of the higher Jerusalem, the Jerusalem above, as opposed to the Jerusalem below, as I mentioned before. And it could very well be that, there's something to this city that goes back, right, Abraham, Yitzchak, Yehoshua, all the way to David when he takes it, and all the way to now when we have once again taken it and unified it in 1967. I am. Don't play dumb, Nama. You know you're cheating on me with Karsten. Karsten, my man. MDL. Hello, old friend. How are you doing today? Hello, darkness, my old friend. Hello, MDL. Good to see you. How am I doing today? It's been a blessed and relaxing day overall. And I'm sitting down here with a cup of green tea and cranberry. And the house is relatively quiet. People are safe and healthy and well in their beds, which is a lot more than other people can say right now. And I give so much thanks to the Most High God, to Adonai, for another time where I can sit here peacefully, take a breath, learn some Torah with you. Happy Labor Day, Erev Tov. It's Labor Day. I'm pretty sure that I hope what I was supposed to do for work for Labor Day, I did get done. Free Palestine, says Karsten. Karsten, thank you for supporting Israel. Free Palestine from Hamas, I agree. Free Palestine from terrorism. Free Palestine from those warmongering, hate-filled, religious extremists. Karsten, who am I cheating on him with? Just curious. It's him, Naamat. Don't play stupid. You too. You too. The games you play, the tales you weave. Neil says, last shall be first, and love will conquer all. I do agree to that. There's this idea of the 10 sfirot of the tree of life turning. And as for love will conquer all, I'm inclined to agree with that as well. Last shall be first, and love will conquer all. Sof ma'aseh b'machshavat chila. That's what it's said about the Shabbat, and that's pertaining to Eden and the tree of life. And the path to the tree of life, through Torah, commandments, and Shabbos. Yodidiahu says, in the Torah it says Abraham returns alone. It never mentions Yitzchak returning from Moriah. Yes, and they never converse ever again in Scripture. Never. It's as if there is. I have a friend. His father is a very, very well-known. Was a very well-known poet. He died recently, just a year ago, or so. And he wrote a book called Reshit, Pe'amim Rishonot Batanach, meaning beginning, first times in the Bible. The first time someone laughs. The first time this is mentioned, that is mentioned. The first time that some action is taken. The first time that all kinds of things where this is the first time it's mentioned. And with Avraham, it's and Yitzchak and Akedat Yitzchak, the binding of Isaac. After that, there's like a break between Avraham and Yitzchak. And yeah, that's true. Returns alone. Crooked Rose said Jerusalem is like Assyria, blessed and cursed. Yes, and hopefully we can conduct ourselves in such a way where the blessings will outweigh the curses to such a degree that the curses will be gone, and they would have played their part in orienting us to where we need to go. Thank you for your thoughts, Neil says. Indeed, thank everybody in the chat. Thank you for your thoughts. It's wonderful. Shalom, Pinky Winky Kelev. Well, she's a kalba. Kelev is the male. Kalba is the female, the bitch. The chat. Here we go. Jerusalem, or rather Nazareth, was chosen almost randomly. Almost. Happens to be where light was dwelling at the time. Saneezer says. Yes, again, it's the idea of what is it that we set apart. What is it that we set apart? What is it that we consecrate? What cities, what nations, what actions, or lack thereof? What is it that we set apart? What is it that we make holy? What is it that we consecrate? And Jerusalem, it seems, had this very strong pull. And right, Yerushalayim, the belly button of the world, right? In its center, conceptually speaking. And there's a very famous map of Europe, Asia, Africa, and Yerushalayim, Jerusalem, in the middle. Urushalim in Arabic. And I think it's spelled with an I on that map. Very famous map. Looks like a flower. BMXers says, by the way, I recently learned that there's a BMX brand that started because its founder were tripping on shrooms after he and his friends came out of jail for riding BMX, also rather inspiring. You go to jail for riding BMX, or were they doing something stupid, endangering traffic and pedestrians? And as for starting a brand after tripping on shrooms, that is good integration right there. If he did it properly, I don't know about his business acumen, but if you had a vision, of a BMX brand while you were tripping and you integrated it well, it could do very well. Saneezer says Jerusalem chosen because it was the closest site of mass martyrism. Jerusalem chosen because it was the closest site of mass martyrism. Are you talking about Gay Ben Hinnom? Gay Ben Hinnom, that's where I got married. Neil says, I don't think Hamas killed those hostages, by the way. Okay, so you tell me, and people in the chat, what do you think? Do you think it was Hamas? Do you think it was Nohal Hannibal? I don't know of Nohal Hannibal where you take, do you mean, when you say the Hannibal directive, I know what it's like from the soldier point of view. What do you mean by it as somebody who's hostage? Or will you mean that they were killed by IDF? Splash Fuzz says to Neil Warren, you're right, they just tripped and fell. I guess that's kind of a martyrdom. Amos 8:11 says Robert Harrison. Amos, and I'll go with the JPS Tanakh as is tradition. This is a great verse. And Rabbi Shlomo Carlebach put this to, I know he's a disputed character after death, posthumously, but he put this verse to music. He put a melody to it. It's a very compelling melody, and I love it. I love it. I love it. Lo rav lalechem. Let me know if you want me to do it. It's relatively short, but I don't want to do it if you guys don't want to do it. Maga, 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 maga. I'm assuming that's make Africa great again, huh? Lovely douchebag says maga, maga, maga. I'm assuming it's make America great again. Now, I don't know, people say America was always great. People say America was never great. It's all nostalgia that never actually happened except for a brief period in the 50s. And some, I can't speak for it. I don't live there. Eiler, catching up on the live. What's up? Hello, Eiler. Good to see you. Good to see you. Neil says, no, Bibi has the Hannibal directive, which proves he is a psychopath, Splash Fuzz. I think we're talking about we may not be talking about the same directive. Do you mean the military? Well, okay. There's a chain of, let's say, commands that comes into effect when certain things happen. Noal Chanibal, if I'm not mistaken, is when there is a suspicion of soldiers being abducted. And depending on where you are at the time and what you're doing, in reserves or in regular service, it means that you man whatever post, join whatever crew, jump to wherever you need to jump. And I don't know what you mean if you say Bibi has the Hannibal directive. So obviously I have it wrong. Please tell me what you mean by that. Hit the like button, says Robert. Splash Fuzzes, thanks. I do like to write, says Neil. So Bibi shot them, the IDF. That's what Neil says. The IDF shot them. I'm curious. I'm not saying you're wrong. I wasn't there, but what would be where would be the benefit? Just to make them martyrs? What's going on? BMXer says that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Kramer. Proof? Says my woman. That's the dumbest thing I ever heard. I don't recall where that's from. But in my mind, I go to, what are you thinking? Marriage? Family? Prisons! Man-made prisons! You're doing time! You go to sleep at night, she's there. You wake up in the morning, she's there. It's like you have permission to use the bathroom. Is it alright if I use the bathroom now? Sneezer says, sounds like YouTube skipped a chat on me. Skipped a chat on you? What do you mean? I started watching the Seinfeld show tonight again. Hello, my dear. Good for you. Oh, that's a kindness. Tell him to keep it down. Neil's trying to sleep. Thank you. And you need to get to bed. It's 20 to 10.
No.
What no? At 10? I might disappear at 10 for a moment. At 10 in 20 minutes. In 10, I'm going to have him pipe down. Okay. Bibi's cool, hard job running a country. Again, I don't vote. I stay away from politics. I wouldn't know anything about the way he's managing the war, but oh my God, there's so much controversy and dispute and the people, and it's just a horrible situation. If HB is from Yehuda, he has shared blood of Yeshua.
HB.
Wait, I'm sorry. Which HB? Hold on. What did you say before? Was it? I'm not sure what you mean. HB. What was it? What were we talking about that had HB? I'm not sure what you mean. Seinfeld is addicting, LOL. It is. It really is, Splash Buzz. I love Seinfeld. Shofar being part of an animal. I'm sorry, but taken from a carcass. Yes, I don't think would be non-vegan. Yes, taken from a carcass would be the vegan way to go. And I don't know if the one that I bought, which was just in the city, I don't know if the one I bought is or not, but I don't know. That is the more mehudar, the more prized one. Always blame Israel Jews for everything. Some people do that. Sneezer, these people cannot take any truth, Neil says. Yep. It's true. You'll be quoting lines for a few weeks, BMXer, Splash says. Ariel said somebody asked Messi or Ronaldo, but neither plays for Spurs. So I answered Son Heung-min. Gotcha. Neil, the truth is unbelievable to those who have not witnessed it. Right? There is something to that. Sure. 3 Nike girls forever. Have you been to jail? No, thankfully I've never been to jail. I have been to jail as a medic, in jail. Does that count? But not actually incarcerated or placed in any kind of jail. BMXer says to Splash Fuzz, that's exactly why I take in portions, I see. HN, I heard this month something about the Star of Yaakov. Robert Harrison says. Well, what do you mean? Darach kochav miYaakov. That's with Bilam. What do you mean you heard something about it? Can you elaborate? Splash fuzz. Okay, yeah. Neil, got any proof? Where are you from? Rudra asks. I'm in Jerusalem. Where are you from, Rudra? All they have is claims and scorn. No scorn, but the truth shall set us free. I do agree that truth and freedom are closely related. Rabbi Yitzchak ben Foreskinowitz, nice to have you back again. Oy vey, you say. Oy vey. Neil Warren says it's kind of funny how when Christs talk to each other, many can't understand. Right, because you're claiming, or your contention is that he is in all of us, and so there are many people who share this misunderstanding by and large, as you've put it, and when Christs talk to each other, many can't understand. I mean, I don't follow the whole Christ thing because I'm not a follower of Yeshua or Jesus, but that I think of it many times in the Daniel sense of Yeshotetu harabim v'tirbeh hada'at, that many will wander and knowledge will increase. Ariel says, if I understand correctly, one does not require any proof when accusing Jews. I don't know, like I've said, in many places that I've seen in the world or heard, news, and again, by the time it reaches me, it's propaganda, but even so, it takes in some regions in the world so little to spark the fire of Jew hatred, of anti-Semitism, that shape-shifting form of hatred. Quite unique, I think. Or maybe not. Splash Fuzz says to Ariel, exactly. HN, no, I didn't. It's because she's a bitch. Yes, that's correct. Pinky is a bitch. Still waiting, like waiting for Godot. People, are you Samuel Beckett fans? Neil Warren says, or better yet, who here has ever seen Waiting for Godot on stage? Huh? Let's see that. Sneezer says you either get it or you don't, Neil Warren says to Sneezer, but there is no judgment here, only love. Well, Sneezer will definitely be on board with that. It's a tradition spanning back millennia. Yeah, indeed, accusing Jews is probably more than millennia. Justin Holt says, I work for a war, contacting business, and I'm getting rich over the war in Gaza. Many people are getting rich and wealthy from war. It's always the case that people get rich from war, just like it's the case that people are impoverished by war. BMXer says, my favorite rabbi is here. Rabbi Yitzchak ben Foreskinowitz. Hit the like, says Sneezer. HN, did the strike slow the city down today? I worked from home today, and other than quick excursions for pickups, I was at home. But a lot more traffic, things were messed up, and this was in a city where things were running relatively normal. Other cities went on a lot fuller a strike. Oh, very good, I'm in a place, said Sneezer, a vacation, where I find the desire and ease to work. In a place of a vacation, where I find the desire and ease to work. That is lovely, and it's also lovely that you're still working. Rabbi is in his house, says BMXers. Not Rabbi Wiener Snipzel? Or the famous Russian Rabbi Kachepekarov, the Moyle? I heard that joke in, I think, 9th grade. It stuck with me. Kachepekarov. Love it. BMXer says, Robert, Joey Gelpy told me that joke. Robert is in his house. Yes, he is. Clean yourself up, bro. Shave, join a gym, hit up a bar, get a girlfriend, says A-Bomb. I do declare I could be cleaner. Shave, not a chance. Join a gym, I'm already a member, and I go regularly, thank God. Hit up a bar, I don't drink. I haven't been in a bar in a long time. Get a girlfriend. I did when I was 16, and I married her. So, all I needed is one. And you were right. Do you see how many things you're right about just straight off the bat? Now when I say clean myself up, I shower daily and stuff. My scalp, I don't take good enough care of it. It's not awful, but it is on the more dandruffy side. Not incredibly flaky, but flaky enough for my woman to be annoyed. But at a glance, usually it's not a problem. A-Bomb, thanks for the support. I appreciate the advice. And I send it right back across the interwebs. People, let's go point by point here. What does it mean to clean yourself up? Right? It means to remove the impurities, adapt a purer heart. To clean yourself up means you see things that require cleaning and you do something about them. Because there's certain things that you simply won't require, it won't even click, there's something there that I need to, the things that you need to do will announce themselves, will present themselves. And then you'll be able to clean yourself up. Because when you clean yourself, you can be that much better. Mentally, physically. Bro, yes, we are brothers. Indeed, human brothers, if not brothers of faith, religion, geography, politics, ideology, whatever the case may be. Brotherhood of humanity. It's still there after all the differences, after all of the different borders and tongues and languages and wars that tear us apart. Eventually, we will once again be brothers and sisters, united again in Eden. Shave. Now, what does it mean to shave? Once again, people think of it as aesthetics. People usually shave for aesthetic reasons. So let's talk about aesthetics. I go with the Stone Age caveman aesthetic. So other people who do want to adapt, who are called, who are more, they're more sensitive to it, and they want to appear more of a clean-cut look. The New York Nazarite, by the way, Aleph Aleph, he would say that men should grow beards, and that men without beards, something is lacking. And I don't disagree with him, I just go a different way. I'm just saying that shaving is something which I never did. And unless you count a bar mitzvah mustache that I shaved a few times in my teenhood, but that's it. But to shave and to adopt a cleaner aesthetic and a cleaner exterior, there's a lot of merit to that. Because when you clean yourself up on the inside and you clean yourself up on the outside, you have, or at least you have the capacity, right? Because you did something difficult that's pretty difficult. And you can then walk that much taller. Join a gym. I agree. Take care of your body. It's the greatest tool you'll ever own, as it says in the sunscreen piece. And it's good for your mental health. You'll age much better. It will, depending, you do cardio, you do strength, you do whatever it is, stretching, I don't do it enough. But yes, as somebody who has always tried to stay active, if not join a gym, still stay active, throughout in my entire life, definitely stay active, move yourself. And I'll never forget what Rav Kook, the first chief rabbi of Israel, said of the secular kibbutzniks. He said the exercises and the physical fitness that the kibbutznikim, the secular kibbutz people, the exercise that they engage in, bettering their body physically, this gives strength to the Kabbalists who are trying to expand themselves spiritually. And they go together. Much like it was Yoav, David's general, Yoav ben Tzruya, and David. Because David was able to go and send Yoav to war. David could sit and be that kind and righteous, let's say, king of the Torah that the Torah speaks of, after all of his wars and his demons were taken care of. So yeah, the physical being is very, very important. Join a gym. Definitely join a gym. You have to have the spiritual and the physical, and God willing, and the mental, and to be able to develop them, to reveal more of it into your being, into your conduct, into your behavior, into your speech, into your day-to-day, in a way where it can integrate itself and become simply part of who you are, and make those connections fire and build new ways of being in your psyche. And hitting a gym, shaving, cleaning yourself up inside and out, those are all really difficult things. And shaving, I understand, is a pain in the ass to some. So pain in the ass, difficult things. As is going to a gym, whether it's once or twice or thrice or 4 times a week or every single day. Hit up a bar. So maybe a bar, maybe a place. Don't rot away in your room. Don't become some type of, hikikomori, right? Like a loner in your room, or basement, or I don't know what it is, hit up a bar. I married my first girlfriend. I met her at 16. I have no idea about the dating world at all. So, hit up a bar, I don't know, but definitely stay social. Definitely stay social. I frequent, as a lurker, the Forever Alone subreddit. Two subreddits that I frequent. Marriage, right? Our marriage and our Forever Alone. Our marriage, because I can learn, my marriage is going strong over 20 years, but I can still learn a ton. And Forever Alone, in order for me to appreciate everything that I have all the time. And to send some good vibes to those people who are struggling in both subreddits. I don't comment much. I don't upvote or downvote. I'm a lurker. So yeah, hit up a bar, stay social, get a hobby, do anything. Now, there are some people, of course, where it's like, just take a shower, bro. No, some people have it so tough. They are so paralyzed. They had bad childhood, bad adolescence. They're in their 30s and 40s. They don't know how to talk to men, women, whatever the case may be. They are in dire straits. I'm going to say to them, give them advice? Hell no. So I'm not talking to them, unfortunately. I wouldn't know even how to tackle that at all. But definitely hit up a place. And from what I understand, you need to go for the sake of going. Get to know the owner. Get to know the regulars. Get yourself in the crowd. Don't go there for dates. Don't go there for hookups. If you're looking for a companion, girlfriend, you said. You didn't say get a one-night stand. You didn't say get a fuck buddy. You didn't say get a friend with benefits. You said girlfriend, meaning some type of relationship where it's like, yes, we're steady in some way. So yes, get a girlfriend or a boyfriend. Yes. Again, not everybody is girlfriend or boyfriend oriented. Some of them are not interested, so I'm not talking to them. But by and large, said the guy who married at 20, yes, a girlfriend, a wife, a companion, an intimate partner is something that can bring so many blessings of such a unique nature into your life, into your everyday existence. When you're awake, when you're asleep, it's the atmosphere, it's what you carry with you. Its magnitude is unimaginable. Conversely, when you fight or when there's a disconnect or when there are times of harsh words and loud noises, and yelling, not sexy time, it's that much worse, perhaps, than fighting with anyone else. The idea is, and with this I'll close and move on, to always find each other again. If she's your woman, and you've decided not to divorce, because I don't know what's going on in your life, but if it was just a spat or a fight and it was a day, maybe two, and you can get over it, find each other ASAP. Find each other. Justin Holt says, I hope we can the war. Dun, 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 dun. I hope we can, I'm assuming that was win, the war in Gaza going in for a while longer. Wait, I hope we can the war in Gaza going in for a while longer. Look, you said can, which is a lovely dance, but I don't understand how it relates here. And I mean, is it I hope we can win? I hope we can prolong? What is it that you wanted to say there? Because I hope we can, I don't think that's what you were going for. A-bomb, if you hit like, he might. Yes, I might. But you don't have to hit the like at all. In fact, you can hit the dislike if it's still there. I don't even know. Justin Holt says, tell the people in Gaza just run faster. Run faster, huh? From Hamas and from the IDF, those people, the good, honest, innocent people in Gaza and in the West Bank are between a rock and a hard place, between a terrorist regime, a terrorist organization holding, a gun to their head, and the IDF doing the same thing, so to speak. Differently, obviously differently. They put them as human shields, and we do what we and IDF does what it can to protect those people. But it's between a rock and a hard place, and to tell them to run faster. It's like that not long ago, or a couple of years ago, it was circulating on the internet at the time. This short thing from the New Yorker, 12 caricatures, or 12 frames, and they were pertaining to, the one that I remember, right? Somebody is drowning, okay? reaching up. And there's a person right next to them leaning down saying, have you considered therapy? 12 of those. Things like that, where it's like the platitudes and the oh, really, I'm drowning here. Run faster. No, there should be real peace. Even right now at this very moment, Adonai, reveal that peace in the world. And if we haven't merited it through our good actions and kind deeds all over the world, if humanity has not merited it, may you make it happen. Make it happen. That divine revelation of peace all around the world, I long for it, I do. Our Lord says, Zechariah 8:2. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, I was jealous for Zion with great jealousy, kanokineti. That's right, and I was jealous for her with great fury. Yep, 'tis true. Abam, he's married with 3 children, women like the Nazarite type. Women like every type, depending on the type of the woman and the type of the man. So, do some people dig the, as someone said, the Stone Age, homeless, caveman look? Some people do. Maybe it's homeless, Stone Age cave women. BMXer says to Abam, he does and have all of that and don't need to shave, especially not to be clean. Right, I agree. My beard is wild, but I do comb it, and it's not suffering. Let's put it that way. Justin Holt, Neil Warren says to Justin, where are they supposed to run to? Exactly, they're between a rock and a hard place. The good, honest, kind, loving people of Gaza are stuck between this horrible rock and a horrible, hard place. Okay. I think God's love for Jerusalem, Jews, said Sneezer, is very poetic. Even after some 3K years, God waits for her. Yeah, it is very poetic, and with the prophets, the writings, the different scrolls, and the Song of Songs being perhaps one of the most poetic things in the Bible. Amen. James Holt says, I could care less where they run. I don't care if they all die. See, I do care if they die. I care.
Who's all?
Gazans.
Oh, okay.
Right? The majority are, there's a large number of babies and children under 6, under even the age of indoctrination. And they haven't done anything. Kids, babies. I don't want them to die. I want them to live and flourish and thrive in a peaceful environment. BMXer says, I want them to have a proper childhood. Sorry, except hitting bars, no need for a girlfriend because he has a wife who was in the chat. Yes, it's true, she was in the chat. God is all-loving and all-powerful, Neil says. There is certainly a revelation of an all-loving, all-powerful nature. But he is neither one of those things, because love is a human term and power is a human term. And if we already say these things as human terms, concepts, and ideas, it already means, for me personally, that it's not the creator. But yes, there is definitely that revelation of all-loving, all-powerful, all-singing, all-dancing. Teshuvah, returning. That's right. Elul, which is coming up, is called Chodesh HaRachamim VeHaslichot, the month of mercy and forgiveness. Plural. Rachamim is the idea of the middle pillar. And there is a lot there. So much there to do in Elul. And I think a few years ago, this was in the old channel, I think I'm going for the month of Elul, starting tomorrow night, I think I'm going to read Orot HaTshuvah by Rav Kook, The Lights of Returning. In the old channel, before it was deleted, I had a long playlist of my musings and rants and verbal diarrhea about Orot HaTshuvah, about the Lights of Returning, the Lights of Repentance by Rav Kook. It's one of my favorite books. I've been learning from it all my life, not all my life, since my yeshiva years, so over 20 years. And no doubt growing up in a religious, national religious school, I probably was exposed to many things by Rav Kook that I didn't associate at the time with Orot HaTshuvah because I didn't know any better, but that aside, as a book, as a wonderful, wonderful text, yes, Tshuva. I would love to do a series of videos once again, and I think the live streams in Elul will be devoted to Orot HaTshuva by Rav Kook. I think that's a great way to, it won't be like in the old channel, but that's a good thing, because here I am, years later, still going strong. Sneezer says, God is surely most patient of all, among all other nations, among all other mosts known. Mosts, he is the most patient. Yes, there is, again, a revelation of patience and of an assurity of, despite all of the horrible things going on in the world, we will somehow be able to get our act together and arrive at the path of the tree of life as one unified human race, to partake of that fruit, to arrive at the path. The guardians become guides, rather. And the flaming sword, we will take it. We will continue. Justin says, tell the people in Gaza stop being such easy targets. Ouch. Justin, come on, man, that's cold. Don't do that. Tell the kids in Gaza stop making such an easy target. Yeah. I don't think you should say that, man. I don't know. There's something, if it's the good people and the good kids, then, because even if they're minors, they can still be terrorists. Late teens, definitely. So Nezer says, my own 30-year wait is quite the parallel. I feel it deeply. That patience. I understand. Patience, by the way, is yet another thing that when you get a girlfriend, or even regardless, patience. Neil Warren says to Justin Holt, yes, women and children are easy targets. Really? As opposed to what, men? Just men at large? Why are they easy targets? Tuohi says, you look topical Jew hippie. I mean, that is kind of what I am. Yes, to be hip means to be aware, and that's certainly what I'm striving for. I'm not saying I'm aware yet. I'm definitely awake, but maybe not aware. Awake in the sense of personally, not in the way that most people would attribute it, to which they would, not necessarily in the way to which most people would attribute it. Do you think all the sacrificial laws in the Torah and for the priest is because of the sin of the golden calf? I think that in the same way that from the firstborn of Israel, it became the duty of the Levites and the priests to mediate, if you will, the ritual worship. So it was supposed to be, in the beginning, the tribe of Levi did have a uniqueness, but it was supposed to be the firstborn of all the tribes who would be conducting ritual worship and mediating between the divine will and the people. And then it went to the tribe of Levi exclusively. And the golden calf, it's said, is when we received a crown. And let's say that the sin, the missing the mark of eating of the fruit of good and evil, and shirking responsibility and shifting blame and pointing fingers later, those two sins were, I guess, expunged, right? There was a kind of a mending and what's the word I'm looking for? Anyway, there was they were able to repair the damage that was done that day in a big way at the assembly in Sinai. And then with the golden calf, those crowns were taken away. And evil, let's say, was reintroduced into the world in the way that it was introduced into the world after eating from the knowledge of the fruit of knowledge of good and evil, right, in that tree. And then the sacrificial laws, I think they would be, it makes some sense that the sacrificial laws pertaining to animal offerings, not the wine, not the water, not the incense, not the oil, animals, right? The birds and the cows and the bulls and the all of the gazelles and the doves, the chicken. So yes, I think there was definitely a fundamental shift. That light, let's say, that light of Torah, that once in creation, once in existence light of Torah, that came down through Moses during that time, it wiped away the sin it wiped away that sin from Eden to a large degree. Absolutely, I wouldn't know, but that's what it's there's that school of thought anyway. So it was quite a thing. And I think that maybe all sacrificial offerings would have been a vegetarian, or maybe they wouldn't be at all. I don't know. But the golden calf took that away. BMXer says, tell the people near and far something about a scar. If just say blood will run, then it will be done. Damien Jr. Gong Marley, who performed in Israel a few years ago, if I'm not mistaken. This was a lovely cup of tea. I didn't go to the show, though. Yod, probably, but more for misfollowing Moses. Could be. If they would have followed like Moses instructed, I think of its own accord that that evil, that part of ritual worship, which is to, let's say, give the devil his due, right? That sacrificial animal slaughter, that ritual worship with animals. And if they would have followed in the path of Moses, or as Moses spake, it could very well be that that vegetarian element of Eden, that vegan element of Eden would be reintroduced. Maybe, who's to say? Jewel says, Chazak Bariks. So Chazak means strong. Do you mean Baruch? Chazak uvaruch is a salutation or a blessing or something you say to someone when they do a kind of good job at something, or when they go up to read or leave the Torah, the bima, to read the Torah. Sneether says to BMX, "Where's my car?" I haven't seen Dude, Where's My Car? I haven't seen it. Free. Avian Aryan says, now wait, is this India? Is this Iran? What is this? It's Iran. Yes. Okay, free Iran. Yes, free Iran from its wicked regime. Free Iran from its warmongering terrorists. May it be de-radicalized, and may people on the Gazan side and the Israeli side of this conflict be de-radicalized. And may we be able to find common ground and live in peace. My God, we need this. Oy. Tell Palestine, stop being such easy targets, Justin Holt says. All right, now you're repeating yourself, aren't you? But what is it that you want? Okay, they should stop being easy targets, and what should Palestinians do? What should life-affirming and caring, compassionate, kind, truthful, righteous Palestinians, pacifist, what should they do? You're saying, okay, tell them that. What should they do? What should the women do? What should the children do? How can they have a coup? How can they overthrow this government of terrorism? How can they do it? I have no idea. That's above my pay grade. BMXer says the car is in the front yard and I'm sleeping with my clothes on off. I don't recall that quote. Good evening, Erev Tov. Gwals Gwen says, good evening, good evening. Oh, wait, and there's the chat again. The chat is jumping, hey. It's jumping, hey, it's jumping, hey. The chat, here it is. Yes. Oh, wait, no, not there yet. Well, that's a lot of chat. Whew. Oh my God. Oh my God, it just keeps going. There's so much chat. Okay. Israel is doing the world a favor with Palestine. Well, if we can show people that peace is possible even with bitter rivals, and yes, let's do that. Let's do that. Let's do a favor to the world by bringing an end to the war on Israel's terms and dictating terms of peace and having the treaty signed. And they will have a warm, fuzzy, marshmallow s'mores peace. Yodidiahu says, if Moses was the mediator between Bnei Yaakov and Elohim, do you think that changed when Moses died? No one spoke with Elohim like Moses. No. It's two facets of the same revelation, a higher and a lower, right? The people of Israel and Torah, to some degree, they are represented in Tiferet. And Moses is represented in Da'at, which is what Tiferet is directly connected with in the middle pillar. From Keter to Malchut, you have Da'at and Tiferet. And Da'at is unique in the sense that we say there are 10 Sfirot and not 11, 10 and not 9. Well, strike that. Reverse it. 10 and not 9, 10 and not 11. Da'at is something which is an in-between. People call it the third eye. Right? You have Chokhmah and Binah, and here the pineal gland, whatever it is, that small walnut thing or whatever. I may be mixing up my glands, but the third eye. Psalms 101 says, "Save Palestine." I agree. Save Palestine from Hamas. You people who give aid, people who are pro-Palestine, be anti-Hamas. Speak up. Speak up against Hamas. Bolster the people by speaking up against Hamas. And not just crying to Israel about Palestine and condemning Israel. Do something against Hamas. That could make a difference. So Nirza says to Yodidiyahu, wasn't Moses one of the three who never died? No, it literally says that he died. It says that his place of burial is unknown. Yodidiyahu says, right, it says, Vayamot Moshe Eved Elohim al pi Adonai. Yes. Why do you think Elohim hears your prayers or questions if Bnei Yaakov was never allowed to go directly to Adonai? I think that there is a revelation of hearing prayers, if you will, and of listening. It's not the same one that Moses had, right? Bechol beiti ne'emanhu. In all of my house, he is trustworthy. Right? Pe'el pe'adaber bo. That's what he says, right? Mouth against mouth. That's what he says to Moses, to Aaron and Miriam. Right? He says, if you have prophets, it'll be a dream, it'll be a vision, it'll be some sort of a trance. Not Moses. It's an aspaklaria hameira, as it's known. The levels of prophecy, and I spoke of this recently, right? It's like a mirror that has sort of, let's say, a cloudy mirror and a shiny mirror, pristine, that glows. Those are traditionally two, there are others, but the two main ways in which prophecy arrives to the world. Aspaklaria hameira and aspaklaria, the shining mirror and the non-shining mirror. The prophets, all prophets but Moses, are be'aspaklaria she'eina me'ira. And Moses, hey Pinky Winky, you want some attention? Come here, girl. Oh. And Moses, is the father of... Moses is the father of prophets. That's why he's known as the father of prophets. Because that type of prophecy, that type of connection, that type of relationship with Adonai, that's that. And we pertain to the Tiferet and to the 6 tips, the Shesh Ktsavot, the Vav Ktsavot as it's known, which has to do with this world, with the duality. And that is unique because it connects the 3 higher Sfirot to the 7 lower ones. And it doesn't count as a Sfira in and of itself, but it's a higher form of Tiferet. It's a higher human, the Ubermensch, right? That's him. That's Moses. And Moses, as such, is once in creation. However, it means that we know what we're striving for. We're striving for connecting the 3 top Sfirot with the 7. We are seeking for that, not just Zachar v'Nekevan, not just masculine, feminine, male, female, divine presence of the 7 lower emanations, but to bring it all together from Keter to Malchut, from crown to kingdom. And that's our image of God fully. That's what it will bring about eventually. And Moses was a way for us to relate. Like there are followers of Jesus who say that Jesus was the perfect human. In that sense, right? Something, an ideal, something to shoot for. That's Moses in that sense, right? Torat Moshe, Dat Moshe. Things are named after Moses, certain things. Because of that, because of his unique bridge-like quality, bridging the spirit world and the physical world, if you will. Moses died 120 years, correct. Hanoch, Malkitzedek, and who then? Malkitzedek didn't die? What do you mean? It's Hanoch and Eliyahu traditionally. Malkitzedek, I don't recall. Which verse is it? Yedidiyahu says his burial place wasn't revealed, or Bnei Yaakov would probably make it a shrine. That's usually the mainstream idea of why his burial place is unknown. Ella says, hi Ella, good to see you again. Life is divine. You know what? Sometimes it's shit, sometimes it's divine. And like I always say, in the times when it is divine, be present, be mindful, acknowledge how divine it is indeed. Like I am here right now, talking to you, sharing a cup of tea with you, talking for an hour, right, 80 minutes already. And it feels like it's going like that because I'm having so much fun. It is so much fun. I give so much thanks to the Most High Adonai for the way in which, the conversation is going and the way that it's the things I'm learning from you and the ways in which you're enriching me, educating me, opening my mind. It's lovely. And in that way, this is indeed divine. Shem is Melchizedek, he died 600 years. Yes, I've heard that too. HN, yip, vandalizing. Yod, source? Sneezer, well, I'm guessing he gave it to you. By mass martyrdom, I'm speaking of all the dead prophets. Oh, okay. Because there were people there who died. Many. It was a place of pagan worship. BMXer says it does very well. One of the most famous BMX brands. Well, good for him, man. I hate when people make you look it up, just quote it. Oh, yeah, I see. Make me look it up, I hear you. Don't be so lazy, Odidio says. Paraphrase it to your understanding, even. If you don't look it up, you don't learn, sneezies. Sneezies! Ela, tree. That's correct. That's the name of a tree. Odidio says, I usually do, but I also don't need to. The truth being gripped to my heart. It's not like you have to go to a library. It's true. I remember going to a library when I was a boy and taking out books every week. I loved to read as a boy. Still like to read, only not the same books. I like to be reminded of what I've said 10 minutes afterwards. Sorry, Neil. You know what? Should I skip ahead? Let's skip ahead. 33 people in the chat, 30 now, 13 likes. Let's skip. Hello, Jesus, says Ich schweib nicht. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. I'm sorry. Hello to you. Just love. Everything else becomes easy, Neil says. All you need is love. Love. Love is all you need. Good Time TV. Hello, Good Time TV. Do you want to bring up other books which I don't take anything away from them, but stick to the 5 books of Moses, which you know that came from God? Well, are you referring to a previous conversation? I'm just going to look quickly. Read the Chumash, aka Torah. Okay, so I'm assuming that you're talking to someone before that, but now I'm intrigued. Jewish people went through a lot of shit, he said. I'm scrolling up a bit. Especially this year, you guys are going to get severely punished for the hate that came on the Jewish people. Hey, you know what, Good Times TV, other people and trolls and pro-Hamas, pro-Palestine people say that, no, our punishment has just began. So it's like, who's to say what the hell is going to happen? Shfoch chamatcha al hagoyim asher lo yeda'ucha. Pour your wrath on the nations that do not know you. And in other words, make it so we will all know you. That divine revelation will come here and cover the world like water covers the sea. And evil and wickedness and bloodshed and war will be lifted out of creation. Oh my God, it needs to happen, Adonai. We are in such deep... So, people are saying, we're going to get severely punished, they're going to get severely punished. Everybody is severely punished in this war. Everybody is severely punished in this situation. We're all post-traumatic and still going through traumas and all of us in this conflict. And yet, the call of the Torah, since you mentioned the Chumash, is to choose life. And like I said, if it gets worse, another front, I don't know, I'm going to volunteer again, God willing. I'm not making a vow, I'm not vowing to do so, but that's my want. Depends on many factors. And yeah, the Chumash says choose life. Ay. Everything good came from God. Wait, I'm sorry. It jumped. Anything good came from Adonai. He's both, says Yodidiao. Yes, came from in the sense that it's a revelation. We live in a world of good and evil. So Nietzsche says to Ariel, truth, in the recent generations, we are all are a Moses. There's the idea of the spark, right, of Nishmat Moshe Mashiach, the soul of Moses, Messiah. And again, it's that higher thing. It's that point of Da'at, that point of Malchut, that is so fierce, and powerful, that it shoots all the way up to Keter. And it fundamentally changes reality. Moses embodied this when he brought down the Torah, and we will all embody this, and we will all be called anointed when the Spirit is poured on us. So yes, there will be no need for a bridge. There will be no need for a mediator. No priests, no Moses. We will all have that. And then who knows where we go from there after we partake of the fruit of the tree of life. And here in this world right now, we don't settle, but we go with our tree of life, which is Torah. And I go with, just trying to be better. Ariel Marshall, Sanidra says that's why so much war, because we are all like Moses. So it's this idea of a balance, or two forces that continue to bring balance. And then, there's something, good and evil. And the way that the pendulum swings, good and evil on the scales, trying to find a balance. As much as the potential of the world to come in peace is increased, the potential of war is increased to counter it. Like every action has an equal and opposite reaction in the laws of physics. It's kind of like that, I suppose. And we need to continue doing good precisely because of that. And our sages in Pirkei Avot in the Mishnah, in the lore of the fathers, of the lore of the sages, it says that a person should always see himself, right, as on the balance between good and evil. And always shoot for evil. Do that other kindness. Say a good word. Do a good deed. Perform a commandment. Be a blessing in someone's life, because it can tip the scales. Always, with every decision you make. Okay. If you were righteous, you would know that. So wow, what was the conversation before? Opinion on Islam, Naki Ali says, my opinion on Islam, alas, sadly, has been warped by a lifetime of bloodshed and war and hate, buses exploding, people being butchered on both sides, and just non-stop aggression. Brief windows, one major window, and a couple of windows, I suppose, of brief hope, the cardinal one being, the major one being Oslo, for a few months in the 90s, for a few months during the Oslo Accords. For a few months, it seemed that there was a chance this could work. It was beautiful. It was glorious. I loved living in Israel at that time, where there was hope that you could feel in the electricity in the air and in the vibes of the people. You could feel it. And I was a boy, right? Or an early teen. And then it went to hell so quickly. Just complete dog shit. Now, dog shit can fertilize the ground and help it grow, and maybe this dog shit that we've been in forever, like a lotus flower, right? It takes a time to reach the surface and break through the mud, to break through the earth. May that peace, that divine revelation of peace that will engulf us, encompass us inside and out, and we will have no choice but to have peace. Because war, are you kidding me? We are brothers and sisters in humanity. Who needs war? Oy. They need to become Jesus, not Moses, said Sneezer, by purging ego. I think that's one and the same. It's said that Vaish Moshe anav meod mikol adam asher al pnei ha'adama. Right? Moses was, according to Torah, the most humble man. So that's my opinion on Islam, Naki. I'm sorry. My opinion on Islam has been warped and damaged by terrorism and all the shit. Analyst says, I have a strange question. Does anyone else have an issue in which you encounter pushback, jealousy, envy, and even hatred just because you have Semitic features? I have encountered it, not much in Israel. The majority is Jewish. plenty of converts too who, look differently but are still Jewish. Semitic features, I've encountered it, I think, only online. So, and, I don't know anything about jealousy or envy. Hatred and pushback, I suppose, is what I would choose from that for. Oscar Africa, have you ever read the New Testament and the 300 prophecies in the Torah that that Jesus is the Jewish Messiah? Honest question. I've read the New Testament once. I enjoyed the gospel. The rest of it skewed too far from Torah as far as I'm concerned. And so I don't consider it to be sacred in any way, but perhaps a collection of books that were not canonized in the Hebrew Bible and that made it later as a separate book. Some of it would have significance to the Hebrews and some of it would not, or a lot less, because other than the letter to the Hebrews, from what I've gathered, basically all of that there was generally aimed towards the nations and not the Hebrew people. For according to followers of Jesus, right, he was God, the Lord, all that, right, part of that Trinity, but also Jewish, born to the house of David. As for Jesus being the Jewish Messiah, he was a potential Messiah until he died, and that's where it ends for me, because we don't follow dead kings. You are supposed to say Hashem. Okay, so are you talking to me? Are you talking to someone else? I said Hashem for most of my life, and asagvehu ki yada shmi, right? Kivi chashak va'afaltehu asagvehu ki yada shmi, right? Because he desires me, I will break him loose, right? I'll break him free. I will keep him from danger. I will heighten him. I will bring him higher. Asagvehu ki yada shmi, for he knows my name. Are you supposed to say Hashem? If you're talking about what I said earlier, perhaps. I said Hashem for most of my life, growing up religious, Jewish, Orthodox in Jerusalem. So I know what you're talking about. However, I respectfully disagree. And I'll use the name of God of my choosing if I choose to. Right? We are supposed to be using the name. We are supposed to be uttering these words. We are supposed to, not all of them, obviously. Many names need to stay in here. But the ones that we are supposed to say, Hashem came later. People were speaking the name of God. The names, plural. So I understand your point of view if you're talking about saying Hashem versus Shem Adnut or Shem Havaya or Shem Elohim. If you're talking about the different names, the Shemot she'einam nimchakim, as it's known, the 7 names that may not be erased, then no, I disagree. I use many of them regularly, all the time, and I'll leave it at that. And I don't see anything wrong with me using those particular names. So if you were talking to me good times, please, you are welcome to continue using Hashem, the name, and not specify a name. I felt compelled, I felt very much pulled and drawn to speaking the proper names of God in my life. Obviously, I need to be relatively clean. Obviously, it can't be in a place of impurity, a bathroom, whatever, much like you can't learn Torah there. Or if I'm in some sort of situation where I feel it wouldn't be right for whatever reason to utter the name of God right then and there. If something is revealing itself to me saying, say Hashem, then I would go with it and I wouldn't force the issue. Tea Time retracted a message. Okay. Yahuwah you're supposed to say, or Yahweh, says Yodidiao. Okay, so again, the punctuation, the cholam shva kamatz, or the shva cholam kamatz, is something that you're not supposed to utter. It's read one way and uttered another, right? It's like a sword in its sheath. It's seen as one thing, and you can draw the sword from it and put it back in. That's what the Zohar likens the two names. That's why they are two separate names that come together. But it's read one way and seen another. And spoken another. Good Times TV, you are certainly being an accuser, says Sinizer. Kommst thou aus Israel oder America? Not sure what you mean, but I didn't come to Israel from America. I was born and raised here to American parents. I am pro-truth, whatever that is. Yodidiao says, is it forbidden for a non-Jew to pronounce the letters or only for Bnei Yaakov? I don't know. I mean, it's forbidden, traditionally speaking, to utter the name and to read it out loud with your speech as it is written. It's not that kind of a name. It's not the kind of name you speak. Much like Havaya benikud Elohim. You see one thing, you say it another. There's a reason there. There's a duality there. You're supposed to be opening up a certain divine channel, letting in certain divine revelations and energy into the world with those specific names, in whether it's the Psalm, whether it's prayer, whether it's the Torah. It speaks of the divine revelation revealing itself here in the world, how we perceive it, and how we ought to mirror this in our actions. If we're in prayer, what sphira, right? What is it that we need to focus our minds on in order, right, to open? What is it that we are supposed to be channeling now in order to bring the unity to the masculine and feminine divine presence in the world, and thus yield, again, right, that idea of new life. So forbidden to Bnei Yaakov, by and large. I don't know if conservatives, Reform, Reconstruction, and so on think this or not, because I grew up Orthodox. But it's forbidden because the idea of the kri and chtiv, right, of the way you see it and the way you read it and the way you utter it, right, the way you write it and the way you say it, that whole thing is essential to that specific divine revelation. Okay. As for the non-Jews, they have either no laws at all, or the 7 Noahide laws, or in that biblical or Mosaic Torah sense, I don't know if it's uttered there as a commandment, right? Because it was the Hebrew people. The commandments are for the Hebrew people, the tribes of Israel. A non-Jew does not have the yoke of commandments on him or her. So I would be assuming it's not forbidden. That would be my assumption. But maybe in order to show respect, or I don't know what. I don't care how you take my words. I don't sugarcoat anything. Good for you. I don't have to be nice because you want to hear something pleasant. Okay, so I guess you weren't talking about me, I'm assuming, because I didn't mention anything about that. I speak the truth whenever I see it. I don't have to sugarcoat it. I agree. You don't have to sugarcoat it. You can act that way, and I don't know who you were talking to before, who you are responding to now. Maybe Yodiyahu, since he brought up the pronunciation here in the comment before that. Naki Ali with the flag of Palestine. I agree. Free Palestine. Go, Gazans. Free yourselves from Hamas. Free yourselves from tyranny. Tell your Hamas oppressors to put down their guns and surrender. We can start a new age of peace and understanding. And maybe love eventually when we are all de-radicalized. Robert says to analysts, no, but I've got stares, but no hate. Okay. Scheiße, says Yodidia, that means shit or crap in German. Neil Warren says love. Ach du lieber, I love you. I'm assuming that's what that is. Philip Brown, I wonder what religion you belong to. Philip, are you referring to me? I don't consider myself religious per se, but I grew up in Orthodox Judaism, modern Orthodox Judaism in Jerusalem, so I belong to the kingdom of Judah and the Jewish religion. Good Times TV says, go read the book of Ezekiel. Oh, whoops, wait, the chat just jumped. It jumped. Oh, come on, where is it? Truth Teller, someone called Sasquatch, cool. Oh, wow. Again, a lot of chat here. Let's see. Where was I? Wasn't I? I mean, it kept going. What's going on here? Did I go? Ah, there it is. Wow, a lot of chat. Good people. It's so nice to converse with you. I'm sorry I'm not getting to every message. Should I skip? Let's go ahead and skip. We're skipping down. Sasquatch with a bolt of lightning or electricity. Hi, Sasquatch. Good to see you. Matthew Delmonico. Good to see you again. Darin DV. Bonjour. How are you doing? I am doing very well. I say we because I'm having fun here, and I hope you're having fun too. So I'm sorry, for a moment there, I grouped you in there. Shabbat is not for the Gentile, Good Time says. I agree, not yet. The Edenic Shabbat will be for all humankind. There will be no Jews and Gentiles anymore. Will be back in Eden, right? A unified human race before the split. God willing, God willing. But for now, yes, the Gentiles don't have the covenant of Shabbat. We have it, Zecher Lema'aseh Bereshit. And Ki mitzion tetzeh Torah, from Zion, Torah will come. It's a remembrance of the days of creation, Shabbat is. It's a covenant that was given to the Hebrew people. Oh yeah, Shabbat, I adore you. I adore you. So that's how I'm doing, Darren V. And Good Time says he's going to get punished for it. If he's saying that he believes in Jesus, he's definitely getting punished. Who's getting punished? Love your attitude, brother, says Matthew. Thank you. I'm assuming you're talking about me. If not, someone else. I love your attitude too, whoever. Tea Time says... Uh-oh, Tea Time. Oh, what's going on with the chat? It keeps on jumping. What's going on? What's going on? For even acknowledging a reform and acknowledging any group besides Orthodox, you're not righteous, to be honest with you. There's not 1 million different ways to learn Torah. No. I mean, this I might assume you were talking to me. I don't know what's going on here. Were you talking to me? Were you talking to Yodidiao? I'm not sure what you were talking to now. And once again, the chat jumped, and I don't know what's going on here. But let's plow right ahead. Tea Time says, in my Chabad... Oh, that's where I was. Good. In my Chabad studies, right, that's a Hasidic sect, Chochmah Bina Vadat, I've learned Messiah could be angel, man, prophet, or God. That God would come down or put his essence in the Messiah. Some rabbis believed it was possible of a divine Messiah. Yes, Chabad has an issue with Rabbi Schneerson and with Mashiach that's very good and maybe for some not good, where it's borderline false idol, false worship. I wouldn't want to presume to know. I'm not a Chabadnik, though I've studied with them and I've studied Chabad teachings from Chabadniks over, in the course of my life. So I'll just say that Messiah means anointed. That's literally what it means. Man have been anointed, kings, prophets. As for angel, how can an angel be anointed and with what? I wonder. That God could come down, again, a revelation of God that comes down, yes, put his essence, right, a revelation of an essence in Messiah. So here's where, that's what I'm saying, atzmut, right, that's what it's called, tea time. There's atzmut, there's that essence of divinity. The Ramak, that's who I hold by, at least right now in my life, Rabbi Moshe Cordovero, and he says that there are eser sfirot de kelim, eser sfirot de atzmut. In other words, the 10 sfirot split into 2 sets of light and vessel. Both are 10 sfirot. Both are a revelation in creation and not the creator. And as such, when you say divine, when you say Messiah, anointed, when you say angel, prophet, God, these are human terms to be understood by human folk. But it's not the essence as I see it. It's not that same atzmut that Chabad means. I see it as eser sfirot de atzmut by the Ramak. And so, when you say divine Messiah, I say divinely inspired, divinely influenced, somebody who is anointed, who rallies the people, eradicates Amalek, and builds a temple. If, again, we can bypass the anointing, Amalek, the temple. If we rally and if we bring peace to the entire world, God willing, we can bypass all of that. There won't be need for ritual worship. There will be no need for king or kingdom. We will be unified, finally, together. Oy. Annie in a pack, in a pack. Annie in a pack. Annie, are you okay? Annie, are you okay? Are you okay, Annie? Permission to give my child his polio vaccination, sir? All right, who are you talking to here? I'm not an anti-vaxxer. And if I am, then I've broken my own code by vaccinating so many soldiers when I was their medic when I had to give flu shots. Good Time says, no, they don't. All it says is the Gentiles that live in Israel, they're not allowed to be idol worshippers, and they're not publicly a lot of violates, but they're a lot of violated behind closed doors. Gentiles can't idol worship right publicly, but they do so behind closed doors. Okay, right, and there was also the chamanim, they would put things on the roof. Sun worshippers. Ariel says, how can you say that the 5 books of Moses came from God, but not other books, Good Times TV? Did Moses write books? Well, what do you mean? That's kind of what I'm saying too. You know my opinion of it, but if you're talking to Ariel, good times, and not to me, then I'm sorry, I just gave my opinion, I suppose, on the goings on in the chat, if none of it was referring to me and what I was saying. SM360ZFX says, Shalom, hello to you, hello to you. He's trying to say Blitzkrieg, but probably doesn't speak German, Gvalgsven says. Okay. Good Time TV says they're not letting desecrate the Holy Land, but there's still a lot of eat not kosher, there's still a lot of their Gentile laws, and have rights as a Gentile. Wow, I'm curious. I'm not going to scroll back, but who and what are you talking about? What would this world be without religion? I wonder. Yeah, who the hell knows? Who the hell knows? But there is still utility and merit in religion as an idea, as a way to take on a burden and a yoke, right? Tov lagever ki yisa ole b'ne'orav. It is good for a man to carry a yoke in his youth. That's what Jeremiah said in the book of Lamentations. And though it says man, it applies to us all humans, I suppose, to take on a yoke, to take on a challenge, to take on a burden. In our youth, even better, because then it becomes habitual. Then you're simply refining it more and more. And it becomes a pillar of your existence. Good Time says the biggest tragedy in the world is that you have Gentiles that live in Israel today, and you don't have all the Jews that return to Israel. That is the biggest tragedy in the world, you think? That you have Gentiles that live in Israel, and you don't have all the Jews returning? Why do you consider it a tragedy? I'm curious, because even though we do want the 12 tribes back, and the kingdoms united under one banner, with one king once again, bringing peace to the brothers, the embittered rivals, Yehuda and Israel. I think that Gentiles that live in Israel today, if they are righteous, if they're good people, why do you consider it a tragedy? And if it's Jews who do keep Torah, but in the diaspora, why is it tragic? That's what I'm saying. You could argue right or wrong, mandated or not mandated by halacha. But why is it tragic? Can you tell me? Thought that was a modern pastime, Ariel says. Okay, I'm not sure what you mean. Good Time says, if there's not enough room for the Jews to come, then all the Gentiles need to leave Israel. Jews need to come first when it comes to Israel. So it's kind of like a shuvu elai v'ashuva alechem, right? Return to me and I'll return to you, and that kind of a thing. Good Times, I'm curious. Are you in Israel? Where are you at? Let me know. HB is going to be punished by Plinky or by Pinky. Yes, your attitude, Hebrew Nazarite. Oh, okay, good, cool. I appreciate the good words. Drop a link, I'll jump on, says Good Times. Sasquatch says, unless it comes to Europe, Good Times TV. YouTube doesn't want us to connect, Neil Warren says. I'm assuming that's YouTube YT. The biggest tragedy, says Good Times, is that God is allowing idol worshippers to be in Jerusalem and living in Israel where there's Jewish people that want to move to Israel, some can't afford it, etc. I'm sorry, again, you heard me say it, I'll say it again. I wonder why that is the biggest tragedy as far as you're concerned. Good Times TV, Robert says, I can give you multiple verses in Torah for Ivrit and Gentiles, same law. Well, look, there's context there in these verses, but essentially, you could, yeah. Look at what they were doing at Esau's wall. Esau's wall? You talking because it was Hodus? Are you talking about the Wailing Wall, the Western Wall, Kotel Ma'aravi? Good Time says Messiah is going to be like the president. Some people say there's going to be a different Messiah till the end of time, right? Kings live, kings die. And kings are anointed or succeeded. Yedidiah says that's not idolatry, bowing and kissing a wall. That's partly why I stay away from it, usually. I've seen things that are like borderline pagan, and it's something that I don't consider to be a good thing. Remember, this is the western part of the outer wall that was around the Temple Mount. It wasn't a wall of the temple, it was of the walls surrounding the temple. It wasn't even the chayil, it was afterwards. Because it was like a fence-ish kind of a wall that was around the temple, the chayil. God is all-powerful and all-loving, says once again Neil. You guys worship a man that died on the cross, Good Time says, that couldn't save himself, that the New Testament was rewritten more than one time. Some people say thousands of times. That has tons of human error. It's mind-boggling, says Good Times. He continues and says, how you guys under worship God warned the Jewish people 1,000,000 times in the Torah, when you live in the nations of the Gentiles, make sure to not worship their gods. Yes, it's true. Bro, you need to take a shower. I have. This is me after a shower. Could you imagine me not after a shower? On that note, let me free the hair here. I put it in before, but seeing as how I don't take a shower, according to Henry Alvarez. Hi, Henry. Let me just... Oh, okay. Wait. Okay, much better. So, I agree. I do need to take a shower. Maybe tomorrow. What year is it? Shlomo couldn't save himself from his own Shlomo. All right. He 1,000% does, Henry, says Sasquatch. Good Time says in Deuteronomy, what we're reading right now, Moses gives anti-prophecies and says, you're going to live in the nations of false gods. Make sure you do not go to them. I am testing you. This is a tent, right? Leman nasot etchem ba'Elohim. Leman tiyirato al pnechem levilti techetau. Right? The worship of God needs to be etched in your face. Lenasot is also to make great, not just to test. In the test, there's the potential for greatness. And Moses is pleading with the people of Israel in these Torah portions of Dvarim. Just stick to the covenant, choose life, choose a blessing, keep Torah, tear down the trees of worship, tear down the monuments, tear down the sigils, tear down the places of worship, eradicate them, or else they will be a pain in your ass and a thorn in your side and in your what would it be? A speck in your eye, or a plank rather in your eye. This is a test, indeed. Indeed. Robert says, Good Times, read Zechariah 13:6 and Proverbs 34 real quick. Achi Yeshua, HaMashiach. So yeah, Good Times. I don't follow Jesus. I don't follow Yeshua, but as you could tell, people in the chat do. I don't censor. I don't debate. I don't necessarily. I just say my piece. Here's what I think. This is my tradition. These are things I've adapted. Whatever it is, here's what I'm doing right now. That's the way I see it. That's the way I call it. In that sense, we are the same. I call it, now, I wouldn't presume to say I have any kind of truth. That's like a kind of absolute, and I don't stick to that. But I do believe there is a kind of absolute truth, and that Torah, commandments, and covenant are guiding us towards it, despite them being, written in the tongues of men, for men, pertaining to physical things, and destroying 7 nations, men, women, and children. Oy, wars of conquest. Lo techaye kol neshama. We had one war of conquest that we were commanded, And, maybe I'll... Wait, something happened? There was a glitch? I'm reconnecting? Okay. The most important of God's avatars, says Sneezer. He's getting punished right now for it, says Good Times TV. Who? Wait, who? Are you talking about? Oh, you're talking about Jesus, Good Times. I see. The only proof of God's love, a bunch of rebels, says Good Times TV. Love is the answer, communistic. I don't know enough about communism. I grew up in Israel, and it has its socialist sides. It's, it's history with the kibbutzim, the moshavim, places where there's community work and working the land, and that group thing, and perhaps that group think. But I don't know much about communism. I know that it's been played out, and it doesn't seem to work very well. It seems to end in death and misery for a bunch of people. One person's rebel is another's progression. Yes, like I said, as far as it refers to me, I am a soul rebel. I am progressive in certain things, but not as anybody else would consider it progressive. Not with any zeitgeist or geopolitical progression, but simply me. I wish to progress towards the Torah, the covenant, and the commandments. I wish to progress towards that choice of life and of being a blessing and things that I can, and having the fortitude and the honesty and the raw strength inside and out to be able to counter the negative sides of me, the faulty, evil sides of me. Progression, rebellion, yeah, I agree. The only religion that exists today from Jerusalem is from Yeshua, says Yodidiahu. The only religion that exists today from Yerushalayim. You mean that was founded in Yerushalayim? Is that what you're saying? I'm assuming that's what you're saying. Tea Time says the expectations of Melech HaMashiach are not explicitly stated in Jewish Bible, but innovation by sages, religion, and rabbis. Yes, there are different anointed ones. As for the, let's say, Maimonides-like expectation, right? Ve'af al pi she'yitmahamea, b'chol yom sheyavo, l'chakot. Im kol ze achake lo. I will expect him, I will wait for him to come every day. That's one of the 13 principles of faith brought down by Maimonides, right? As grouped as such, as 13 principles of faith. They're not halacha, some are. But they're not explicitly halacha, although that might be disputed by the scholars and the rulers. There has been innovation by the sages, by religion, by rabbis. There has been, definitely. The root of Messiah is completion of that task. And being anointed, being set apart, consecrated, segregated, that harkens back to Eden, right? That harkens back to the tree of life. And we can touch it, but not eat from it quite yet. And the fact that we can touch it, let's say, that's why Torah is called an Etz Chaim. It's something you can touch. It's a physical thing. It's a scroll. It's a book. It's halachas. Melech HaMashiach, the king, the anointed king. Melech HaMashiach. Som tasim alecha melech is not even entirely a commandment. It's not an absolute. The people who enumerate the 613 Taryag mitzvot, the 613 commandments, some of them do count it as a commandment of anointing a king and placing a king and making it a kingdom of Israel. And some say, no, it's only you can do it potentially if you wish, but you could not do it. And Shmuel, who anoints the first king, he tells them, don't do this, don't veer away from God. And God says, no, it's not you who they have veered away from, it's me. Give them their king and tell them how to behave. And the king is not an anointed one at all. It's there's no need to anoint, right? It's that divine revelation. Keter Elyon ihu keter malchut. That thing that runs from top to bottom, from bottom to top. That all-encompassing revelation. And it's brought to some completion down here in the human sense with an anointed king that will eventually, again, rally the people, bring all that into existence, usher in a new reality, a new consciousness of the tree of life. Michelle Hitchcock, God will never be fact. I mean, as a word that exists, it's fact. As some people say, God is this, God is that, correct, it won't be fact. And the Torah, again, anthropomorphizes, as do the writings, as do the prophets, because it's trying to say something about the nature of the relationship between humanity and God and what it is that we are supposed to do here as Hebrew people. These books were brought together, canonized for a reason. And there's still a great element of faith, of subjugation, right, to the will of God. Submission, not subjugation. Submission, voluntary submission to the will of God. And so it's a fact to those who de facto bring it into their lives. If you bring the divine revelation into your life with the way that you behave, and how you act, how you speak, your community, I don't know, however people see it, because there's a difference of opinion on what God is and so on. So it will never be a fact, but as we perceive facts here, empirical, empirical fact, right? Maybe not like that. But when God pours his Spirit upon all flesh, it will just as well be a fact. Just like the fact that the force of gravity is working on me and everything around me right now. Bottom line, Jesus died for his own sins, a Good Time says. If he was even real again, there's not even one proof of him. There's a rewritten book that you guys had to rewrite a bunch of times. So, Yeshu HaNotzri appears several times in Talmud. It's not exactly specifically known that he was the same Jesus of Nazareth that followers of Jesus, Christians, follow. I agree that Jesus died for his own sins like people die for their own sins. And not for the world's sins, but if it was time for him to go, then it was time for him to go. And maybe if he was technically a potential sage and a potential anointed one, a potential prophet, then he went out like Aseret Harugei Malchut, by taking on that burden of knowing he was going to be executed and still calling out to God. So, yeah. You say no because you have not understood, Sennheiser says. Oh, wait. The chat just jumps again. The chat has jumped once again. Shake your dreads then. Here, shaken. Consider them shaken. Oh wait, I just saw something. Did you answer my question about your far-right minister, Ben Gvir? Yes, I did. Perhaps you left the chat, but I did. I got to it, and I did answer you, user GER. And I'll give you the shorthand, the short version. I don't know enough about politics or him and his history, and I don't watch too much news. So my opinion is that if he is a radical individual, he needs to be de-radicalized. Like other radicals need to be de-radicalized. And should it come to a point where these radical ideas that he holds will be able to come into fruition, sure. But there needs to be, it's a step by step. And first it's to have a real long-lasting peace here. Not at all costs, but that's my opinion. I don't know him personally or his politics, so I don't know. But the chat jumped. Oh, here it is. Here it is. Good Times says, I understand. Oh, Yerushalayim is Yeshua's. He's the king. Silly Good Times. Good Times says, I'm talking about the tribe of Judah, Levi, at the ones we know today, well, and Binyamin, who's part of the kingdom of Judah. Forget about the ones that are lost. I'm talking about the ones we know today should be back there at least. I agree, but I was born and raised here, so I'm not one to talk, and I hold my parents in such high esteem for forsaking family and friends and leaving them behind and following their moral compass and their spiritual calling and making Aliyah all those years ago. I hold them in such high esteem. Wow, truly. For financial reasons, whatever the case may be, I'm not talking about people that don't want to go back to Tzoar. That's their decision, but there's plenty of Jews that want to live in Israel. They can't go. Well, that can't go. I'm talking about the people that I don't want to go back to Tzoar. Are you talking about Tzoar from Lot and Sdom Tzoar? Which Tzoar are we talking about here? I'm not sure. It's the biggest tragedy, says Good Times, because it's the Holy Land and God hates idol worshipping. It should be your biggest tragedy too, if you really fear in love your God. I wouldn't presume to put any kind of, I know that God reveals himself to me in times, with a kind of fear and in awe, and with great love and great kindness. But it always pertains and is a reflection, more or less, of my actions and where I am. That is what is revealed to me. And so, I don't see that to be the biggest tragedy, even though maybe I should. Maybe you are 100% right. And again, with my parents making Aliyah, I know just how wonderful it can be to make Aliyah. And when I say wonderful, I mean it can be hell, and it can be that much of a blessing. And at the same time, too. I understand what you're saying. The people of Israel, in Israel, it might usher in a different sort of reality when it's the people and they are able to set themselves apart, consecrate themselves, consecrate the land, rededicate themselves to proper worship of Adonai, of each other, and of the land. That can be a great, great thing. So I understand what you're saying, Good Times, though I don't particularly, I don't treat it day to day as the biggest tragedy. I think there's enough tragedies going on here in Israel. And even though I do give thought to the Jewry and the diaspora, I don't think it's on me to tell them what they should do. You know what I'm saying? Because I have it easy. I'm on easy mode. I was born into Israel, into an Orthodox religious household that also is not too extreme. And Israel, said Sneezer, is a small percentage of the world. Perhaps Jesus is all for others, is for all others. Trump doesn't die, says Michelle Hitchcock. He doesn't die. I think there was an attempt on his life, and he didn't die then, so he hasn't died. They make them seem like he's a god, says Good Times. Yeah, that's also where me and followers of Yeshua, we don't see eye to eye on this. I don't consider Yeshua or Jesus a god in any way. But he could have been very well a fine image, a very special image of God that he was revealing in creation, right? If he was indeed that potential sage, potential prophet, potential anointed one, potential king. They want some fairy tale Harry Potter shit to go on worshiping a guy that couldn't even save himself. They act like I'm telling him to worship Moses. They act like I'm telling him to worship Moses. Oh, I see. Because that's their thought pattern. That's the way they think. I mean, you're making a broad generalization here, but yes, okay. He's immortal. Trump is immortal. All right. Do you people think that Trump will be elected? Fearing your God is the biggest tragedy, said Sneezer. Well, no, there are two types of fear, and they both have their merit and utility and their place. That's what I think. That's also how the Orthodox tradition, right? There's a place for everything, and there's a place for everything and a time for every man. Michelle says, was it were Jesus died? So Jesus died, but Trump won't? Let me know. He was a rebellious child, says Good Times. I got kicked out of the religious Hebrew school when I'm assuming you wanted to go with was kicked out of the religious Hebrew school when he was younger. Then he wanted to rebel and start a new religion and brought it to the Romans. Right, there's something, right? Hey, there's one opinion in the Talmud, I don't remember which Masechet. There is an opinion in the Talmud and in different places in the Talmud where he's mentioned. I don't know if he's mentioned in Midrash, and I know he's mentioned in Josephus, right? I think, but that's not canon. That's not canon. Okay, so he wanted to rebel and start a new religion. I don't think he wanted to rebel. I think that according to Talmud, he simply could not live in that world, in that time, being Orthodox, rabbinic, sagey, Pharisee, whatever you want to call it. He couldn't be like that if Rabbi Yehoshua ben Brachia, his master, his rabbi, would not forgive him. And he dumped the baby out with the bathwater, according to that Talmudic teaching, if I'm not mistaken, and already just went rogue. And unlike Rabbi Elisha ben Avuya Acher, which I think I don't think he worshipped a foreign god. I think they say that Yeshua Notzri, Jesus of Nazareth, did in the Talmud. And that's a big difference. It means that Rabbi Elisha ben Avuya, his Talmid, oh wait, I'm sorry, who was it? I forget. But his main pupil still followed him, even after he stopped believing, let's say. And they say that he took his fruit and let go of the husk. And so as for Jesus being kicked out and rebellion, it's not unheard of to follow a rebel. But to start a new religion, that is. And to be a worshiper of foreign idols or sigils, that is. And the Talmud, at least in one place, if not more, says that that's what Yeshua did when his rabbi wouldn't forgive him, seemingly would not forgive him. I love how passive this man is. Are you talking to me? Or are you talking to someone else? Or Jesus or Trump? Who are you talking to? Who was more rebellious, Shlomo or Yeshua? Yodidiahu says. Voila, I don't know. I think that Shlomo rebelled, let's say, but that wasn't even rebellion. That was right in his old age, when, according to Tanakh, according to the Book of Kings, he was starting to sort of connect himself to other deities as well. And I think it's said that it was due to his many women. But that is a midrash, if I'm not mistaken. No, it says Nashav hitu et libo. Yes, it says that his women, who worshipped foreign gods, tilted his heart in that direction. Tell them you'll shower when you die. Yes, I'll be put in a mikveh, hopefully, when I die. That's part of the purity of the dead. They are put into a mikveh. And God willing, I would love to live and die under this covenant of Nazariteship and this vow. And I would love it if my hair continues to grow, that I would be wrapped in my hair when I die. Shrouds too, if you want, but I would love to. If I would love it if the hair was wrapped around me. If I don't know if I would want it to be that long, but if it does become that long somehow, or parts of it, then just when I'm dead, after the mikveh, just wrap me in my dreads. Stop all that flies are flying out. User says, stop that all the flies are flying out. Oh, I did this at the time. I get it. Shake your dreads. What? Wait, what? I'm not sure what I did, but okay. Shlomo was supposed to be Mashiach. He is Ben David, but he failed his people. How do you consider him to be a failure? He was called Yedidyah, right? A friend of Yah. I don't think Shlomo failed his people. I think that Shlomo, being the son of David, being the builder of the temple, he may have not been perfect, right? Avi Seretchem B'Shotim. It was a time of great prosperity, but but some people were always wanting, right? Efes ki lo yihye becha evyon. There will never be a time, let's say, when you won't have some impoverished people. It's the nature of all things. Wealth comes and goes, money comes and goes. But as for failing his people, I disagree. I don't think he failed the people. I think that Rechavam, maybe he did fail his people because it was due to that the kingdom was split. I don't know why it had to happen that way. I really don't. Far be it from me to know. All the sibling rivalry, all of the different monarchies and successions and people fighting and people joining to fight a foreign power and invading and I dream of a single unified kingdom of humanity and a single unified kingdom of Israel before that, perhaps. Failed his people, I disagree. I think he was very wise, and even though in his old age he may have gone astray in some things, he's only human. And as such, I give him, let's say, the benefit of that doubt. And I say that he's not perfect. That's it. He did a lot of good things, but he's not perfect. Good Times TV says, Dead Sea Scrolls is Jewish literature. All the prophecies is Jewish literature. I agree. We are commanded to write down the Torah. And we are not commanded to write down prophecies. They are Jewish literature, and it was canonized in the Bible. Certain things left out, certain things put in, certain prophecies left out, certain prophecies left in, because it had to be a book that echoed throughout the generations and had that combination of the Hebrew letters, the words, and everything from the historical or physical to the spiritual and everything in between, to last for generations. And now here it is, right here, and I can learn from it now. Tanakh, the Nevi'im Ketuvim, prophets and writings are pointing back to Torah, always pointing back to the covenant, always pointing back to Torah. And despite the differences in the texts, and despite the differences in the Masorah, and despite the differences with the dots over the letters in the actual Torah scroll, there is something there which unifies those 5 books of Moses, not across the sea and not up in the sky. It's here, in our hearts, on our mouths, in our minds, to do it, to carry it out, to execute it in a proper way. Adonai, help the people of Israel carry out the Torah in a peaceful and loving way. May we grab hold of the covenant of our ancestors, but not necessarily follow in their path. May we be able to bring about that new Eden. Finding Noah's Ark is Jewish literature. Yes, Midrash, all that. That's all good as long as you know faith is not fact, says Michelle Hitchcock. Yes, I know faith is not fact. Definitely, if you were referring to me right there. Oh, sorry. Dead Sea Scrolls are different from the Masoretic text. Nachon? It's not the Masorah. It's a little different. Good Times TV, Robert says to Good Times, not that he couldn't save himself. He laid down his life, willing. That's the whole reason he died, to be the sacrifice for humanity. He had to die, or there would be no redemption. Toda, meaning thank you. Okay? Hi App says, can we talk about the Talmud? Yes, please. Babylonian, Jerusalem, Baraitot, what are you into? Didiao says, no Esther found in the Dead Sea. Yeah. You're scared to speak up, right? Even Chachamim, even the sages at first were kind of wary about putting it in there. Kivoni ledorot, she said. You're scared to speak up for the truth, says Good Times. Well, it's a difference of opinion. Michelle says, did Jesus walk this earth? Fact. Was he God's son? Faith. Okay, so I know that most people would say that it's fact, and I'm saying if he was around, I probably would have followed him as well. Then, so I can't know for certain. It's like me and a guy at work, we have an ongoing Torah study. And his part of his thing is, he says, if somebody tomorrow proved to me that the Torah didn't actually happen, it would completely shatter me. It would completely pull the rug out from underneath. Wouldn't it pull the rug from under you, he said? And I said, the Torah, as far as I'm concerned, could have happened or not happened. What am I doing with it here and now when I'm holding the Chumash? What am I doing with these 5 books of Moses? What am I doing with them? Taking all of that into account. Maybe it's a fairy tale. Maybe it never happened. Maybe it's warped history. Maybe it's complete myth. Maybe it's complete rubbish. It still has survived thousands of years, and that alone does not necessarily make it good, but there is some value to it, and there's a lot of good that has come through it, through Torah. It has good and evil. I choose to look more at the good. I cherry pick, sue me. And as such, the Torah, the 5 books of Moses, whatever the Masorah is, the Nach is pointing back to Torah, back to that covenant. And it seemed to me from the one time I read the Gospel that Jesus did hold to Torah. There was a disagreement with the sages and all that, but yeah, that's what I'm saying. No Talmud talk, says Matthew. No, it's okay. It's also a tragedy. You should never be scared as a Jew to speak up to the truth. That's why you're here, to let the Gentiles know you're doing it wrong. I'm sorry, could you, for once and for all, are you talking to me or are you talking to Yodidiao? I don't know. Okay, either way, I'm doing many things wrong. I want to try and do them right. Keeping strict halacha is something I did for many years. Perhaps at some point in life I will step back into it. So Nietzsche says to Michelle, even if the things we believe are fact describing them corrupts. Yes, by the time you sort of condense it into a language, into a verbal utterance, it's already corrupt in some way. User GER says, talk about Ben Gvir, or are you embarrassed by him? I have no idea if I ought to be embarrassed by him. I've heard some things that I was like, don't do that, Mr. Ben Gvir, sir. Don't do that. But who am I to say? Who am I to say what he should do? So I'm not embarrassed by him. He's said some iffy things. Do you follow the Talmud as well as the Torah? I follow the Talmud in the sense that I consider it to be the oral traditions that were written down. I follow it in the sense that the Talmud is the Gemara. The Talmud is an interpretation of the Mishnah, which has to do with halacha, Jewish law. I also say that it should not have been written down, but it was a last resort. The sages at the time said, if we don't write it down, it may completely disappear. It must continue, even if it's in a survival mode sort of package of Daled Amot, the 4 cubits of halacha. So do I follow the Talmud? In many ways, yes, but I don't consider it to be ideal now. It's ideal as a time capsule of halacha as it was, and there are ways to extrapolate, right? Right? There are 13 attributes and ways by which the Torah can be learned and discerned and brought into halacha. The sages use verses, the sages use their arguments, the sages use everyday life at the time. Right? The Mishnah was sealed in the 2nd century, the Talmud in the 4th or 5th century, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe it was the first? No, the 2nd century, I think. Either way, around that time, Mishnah and Talmud, in rather rapid succession, century-wise. And they had to do it or else it would disappear. And just yesterday we were talking about, some dude asked, what if it would have disappeared? How would the world look with a Judaism that is all Torah-based? I said probably more like the Karaites, probably more like those who keep written Torah but not oral law, or have their own oral law that is still oral. Because halacha, oral law, Torah shebe'al peh, it was written down, but it should not have been the case. And until that time, it wasn't written down. It was passed down, which is why there were so many traditions and so many different teachings, and some of them might seem contradictory. And sometimes they are, in the sense of a way of teaching it, of learning it, of discerning halacha, which is why eventually it had to be brought down, and the halacha is X or Y or Z, and not those opinions. Those are outside of halacha now. We keep halacha. In that sense, I don't follow strict Talmud, but I do follow many things which have their time and place in Talmud. I follow the rabbinic commandments, for instance, netilat yadayim, right, the washing of the hands. If I'm not mistaken, that is the Rabbanan, right? We have the Oraita and the Rabbanan from the Torah, Oraita in Aramaic, and the Rabbanan from the rabbis. What do Jews know of truth? Sasquatch asks. Well, any Jew who wants to know truth can strive for truth. The endeavor is on his or her shoulders. That's pretty much all it is. Sneezer says to Michelle, only God... Oh, and speaking of do I follow the Talmud, I don't have a rabbi. I did for many years. I've stepped a little away from modern orthodoxy, so I don't have a rabbi, and I don't consult with rabbis. Not yet, not now, but I did for many years. Only God clears the understanding. All we can do is plant seeds. God blooms them, Sneezer says. Well put, poetically put. Mossad glitch clicking on, Matthew said. What? I think I had a glitch, I see. Good Time says, I know the book of Psalms almost by heart. Good for you, man. I read Tehillim. I read it all day long. You try to attach Jesus' name to Jewish literature. Again, I agree. Many Christians attribute Jesus to everything from before the Tohu Vavohu, in the beginning of creation, all the way to the end of Divrei Hayamim. The followers of Jesus see him everywhere, and I don't fault them for it. I understand why they see it that way. It's again an infatuation with what Jesus has brought into their lives, and so of course they'll see it in everything. And of course, they will see that revelation, that they see Jesus as Lord, they see Jesus as Messiah, they see Jesus as the perfect man, they see Jesus as the king and a prophet, all of these things, like this, up on this pedestal. And so it means that it's so high that it's the topmost for the Christians. And everything else is underneath. And so Jesus can be found anywhere in Torah, anywhere in the Bible. So yeah, that's what I've seen, and yes, and that's it. And yes, attaching Jesus' name to Jewish literature, much like in the New Testament, if I'm not mistaken, it's said that certain things took place. Pardon me, and it's said in order to fulfill the revelation, the prophecy as it was written in the book of X or Y. It harkens back, right? It does callbacks to canon Jewish prophets and books of prophecy in order to cement its, affinity to Judaism, the relationship between it, in order to say, no, this is simply a continuation of something of old. These are things happening now in the New Testament that have their origin in a prophecy made by Isaiah or Ezekiel. And they want to attach the name of Jesus to everything Jewish, I suppose, all of the Torah, all of the Tanakh, because they honestly do truly consider Jesus to be that Alpha and Omega, which encapsulates it all. And so it doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter if you would say to them, you're just attaching it. So it's like a patch. No, they would say, no, it's not a patch. It is exactly that revelation of Jesus that has brought all of this into being, because they consider him a God. That's at least how I see it. So Nezer says to Michelle Hitchcock, but what every religious person understands is that just because one person believes something doesn't make it true. Yes, doesn't make it true. There's one good kind of socialist I know, says SM. Good Times TV says Psalms 22 is nothing to do with Jesus. Just because it says that your God is going to save you and you pray to him and he'll forgive, not Jesus. It's actually the creator of the world. Yeah, I'm inclined to agree. All of the Psalms, again, and all of the different names of God and the ways in which we reach him, right? And then Lama ta'amod berachok. It's like it all is supposed to help us discern how it is that we should behave and what it is that we should be doing in order to widen that divine revelation that is being channeled through you into creation, right? That image of God that you are, that image of God that creation can be, right? A mirror of the higher realms. To pray to God is to send your bread upon the waters. I don't think it's Jesus there either, personally. I think the Psalms are about mainly the relationship between God and man. All the times and all, right? It was David and Asara Zakenim, the 10 elder. Right? There's Moses, there's Adam, and there's the different Levite minstrels, Heman, Yedutun, Asaph, if I'm not mistaken, and the sons of Korach, and different people who added their own thing to the Psalms. It's said that the Psalms have this quality to them, that they can snip the thorns from around the rose. They have this weaponized quality. It's like you're holding tiny shears. And when you are going through the Psalms, through Tehillim, you are able to, with like very precise accuracy, cut away at the wicked or evil or malevolent things, the dark forces that are surrounding that rose, right? That pristine divine revelation, that blooming wonder, that fragrant thing. And so praying to God is opening up a channel, right? Opening up a hailing frequency. Because God doesn't need anything, right? And I don't know God. All I know is how God reveals himself to me. And in that sense, it very much is a relationship between me and the divine revelation. Because I don't know God. A prayer, speaking, especially hitbodedut, especially spontaneous prayer. It is such an amazing thing. It is one of the pillars of my very existence in this life and the way that I lead it. I don't go to shul anymore. I don't go to synagogue. I don't go to temple. Once or twice a year I go. Maybe not even then, depending on the situation. But I pray every single day, and I pour my heart out to God, just like the people in the Psalms did. And I pray that it would have the same effect. And Rabbi Nachman very famously said that it's the prastakim, it's the simple folk who read Tehillim each day, every day. It's broken up into the days of the month, and it's broken up into the days of the week. You can finish Tehillim in a week, you can finish Tehillim in a month, you can finish Tehillim in a day if you do it every day. Some people do read the entire book of Tehillim every day. Traditionally, you do the entire book on Shavuot, because it's David HaMelech's Yortzeit, his day of anniversary, and possibly, is there another? No, I don't think so. I think it's Shavuot. Caesar says to Good Times, the God I got to know wasn't jealous, but made infinite creatures and possibility. Neil said the kingdom of God is within. Yes, it's within and it's without. Because even though we can bypass it, the kingdom of God as let's say, a new kingdom of Israel, many people say that's what will come to pass. It won't be like a light switch, it'll be like a dimmer switch. Right? And the dimmer switch is something that, it's there, it's not there, come on, just... It depends on our actions. Hayom im bekolot tishma'u. Today, if you listen, if you hearken to his voice. God isn't fact. Faith, says Michelle. Right, you said that already. God is fact. Our understanding of God are not, Sneezer says. He says to Michelle, God is fact. Our understanding of God is not fact. Right? Because then it's just the way we understand it, and as long as it's something that we perceive or we do, it's already something that we may be misunderstanding. Right? Sneezer is very big on the idea that misunderstanding, that's all the hate, all the evilness, all of the wickedness, it's all misunderstanding. That truth and God is understanding, right? And love encompasses it all. If I'm paraphrasing you correctly here. Michelle says, God will never be fact. Good Times says, bottom line, Jesus died for his own sins. If he was even real, again, there's not even one proof. Oh, I'm sorry, the chat must have jumped and I went there and here. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on. I don't know where I was. I don't know where I... Okay. Just go read the 5 books of Moses. Oh, and I'm sorry, it just jumped again. Hang on a second. I'm sorry. Please indulge me for a moment here in trying to find where I was. Come on. Okay. Good Times, I don't know where I was, but Good Times says, it's important to have a good heart, but you should know the heart you can make, you think that Jesus is real. The heart can make the gay person think it's okay to be gay in God's eyes. Well, again, I take issue with that. There is a difference between being attracted to men and being homosexual and between carrying it out as is forbidden by halacha. Now, you could say, again, I'm cherry picking and I'm twisting it, I'm forcing it, maybe, but that's what I'm forcing it to. I believe love is better than hate and good is better than evil. And this idea of gay as 100%, even if you're not acting on it, that has brought on a lot of negative things, I think. A lot of negative things. All right, I need to plug in. Wow, I've been on for nearly 2.5... Oh, just now, 2.5 hours, good people. 2.5 hours. I do want to keep going, but I must charge my phone. I have a charger right here, but I need to change my position to let it charge. Hang on a second. Let's see if I can do this. Pardon me. Okay, we are plugged in. Now let's see if I can make something happen here. Okay, it's a little bit... Okay, here, that's good. It's a different angle and I can read the chat. Good. Yofi, let's continue. For Real says, hi For Real. Wait, where's the camera? There's the camera. Hi For Real. Right, I'm used to looking over there. Hello. Mustafa Hip Hop says, hi. Hello. Ross Adobe. Read the Essene Gospel of Peace. I will put that in my notes. I'm a fan of the Essenes. I don't know if there are Essenes that follow Jesus. If they are, then I would consider them different Essenes than the ones at the time of the Second Temple. But I will look into that because that sounds interesting. In my old channel, I even interviewed an Essene Nazarite lady, Sarah Eisenman. All right, and wait, and I'm sorry, who said it? Who said it? Who said it? It was Ross Adobe. Hang on a second, I'll write that down. Ross Adobe. Is it Adobe? Is it Adobe? I know the company Adobe, but what does it mean? Ras means head, but what does it mean? Oh, I'm gonna keep turning to there now, aren't I? Oh, the camera is here, Jonathan. Here, right there. Okay. If you have to speak about Yeshua, it means he is alive and well, says Yodidiao. In people's hearts, yeah, definitely. For Real says from the U.S., hello For Real from the U.S., I would have loved to been able to visit Jerusalem and the area, to actually walk in the land I've only read about. Well, what's stopping you from grabbing, a ticket and coming here? Shout Antonio, Texas, city of no pity. All right, Thomas Salazar. I can't shout it, people are sleeping. It's after 11, it's almost midnight. San Antonio, Texas, city of no pity. San Antonio, what are the NBA? Are they the Spurs? James Bong, Ezekiel 18, verses 19 to 23. Let's see the JPS Tanakh. Let's read. Oh wait, no, that's the King James version. I don't want that. Here, JPS Tanakh, verses 19 through 23. Here we go. Yet say ye, why doth not the Son bear the iniquity of the Father with him? When the Son hath done that which is lawful and right, and has kept all my statutes, and hath done them, he shall surely live. The soul that sinneth, it shall die. the son shall not bear the iniquity of the father with him, neither shall the father bear the iniquity of the son with him, at least until he's bar mitzvah, not until he's bar mitzvah. The righteousness of the righteous shall be upon him, and the wickedness of the wicked shall be upon him. But if the wicked turn from all sins that he hath commanded, and keep all my statutes, and do that which is lawful and right, he shall surely live and shall not die. None of his transgressions that he hath committed shall be remembered against him. For his righteousness that he hath done, he shall live. Have I any pleasure at all that the wicked should die, saith the Lord God, and not rather that he should return from his ways and live. That's what I remember. I don't know if that's precisely the verse. I don't have the Hebrew here. It's the JPS version. Yes, it's true. Hey, sir, says Good Times, I don't even know your name, but when you pray in the morning and you say Shema Yisrael, it says, do not follow after your eyes and after your heart, so you go astray. I believe you come from Orthodox family, but you know very well that the Satan lives in the heart. Yes, I agree. The adversary is in the heart, definitely, and the battleground is a psycho-spiritual one before it's any other one, on an individual, right, on a personal basis. As for lo tatu acharei levavchem ve'acharei einechem, I agree, and I'm going to agree with you that to some degree, I do. And I think that it's something that I was in ways that are positive. In ways that I do so which are negative, I agree. I should be rooting. I am doing. Wait, it fell. I will hopefully, God willing, be rooting those negative parts of me. Come on, phone, work with me. Hang on, I'm sorry. The phone is deciding to misbehave. Hang on, I'll put this over here. And now it's unplugged. What's going on, good people? What's going on? Okay. No. It's such a schlep. Okay. A blessed schlep. To be able to go live from my phone is a great schlep. All right, it's a little crooked. That's okay. I'm crooked too. So yes, and I don't think that what I'm doing is that znut. I think that some might consider me like that. They are welcome to their opinion, and I do not go according to strict halacha any longer. I have my reasons, and for a long time I reasoned with myself, am I simply doing this to shed my responsibility and take off the yoke of Torah and of halacha? And I walked with these questions for years. And only then, when I was as sure as one can be, and it says, Al ta'amin be'atzmecha ad yom motcha, do not believe in yourself until your death day. But as much as I can, I decided that this is the path now. And so I'm off of the derech, as Orthodox say, but I'm off of their derech. I'm on my derech. Because I'm me. And I can't be anybody else, and nobody else can be me. And Orthodoxy is my home, and halacha is my home, but I'm doing my own thing. By the way, you can judge me and condemn me for that, or tell me to burn in hell, or whatever it is you'd want to say, but there is no Jewish hell. But you know what I mean. Yes, Satan lives in the heart. Nachon? V'tigar b'satan leval yastineni. Right, and what do we say in Birkot HaShachar? Right, Al tibeni li'idei nisayon, al tibeni li'idei bizayon, haser satan, right, in Hashkivenu, haser satan milfanenu ma'acharenu, may the adversary that's behind us and in front of us be taken away. But it all, first and foremost, comes because of our actions and the lens through which we are viewing reality. And how we are behaving, how are we acting, what are we saying, what are we doing in this reality? Are we trying to maximize that image of God that is a part of our humanity? Are we trying to be true and righteous in the eyes of God, right? Hatov v'hayashar, the good and straight, the good and true. Feel love and everything will change for the better. Feel love and everything will change for the better. Good Time says, I'm sorry, I thought you meant from me, Orthodox family, or again, were you talking about someone else in the chat? But either way, I gave you my 2 cents on that. Good Times TV says, The only way people believe Jesus is from their heart, not from their brain. I'm not sure what you mean. I've found Satan to live in the mind, ego, says Sneezer. The soul knows only love, God's will, and law. So he says, Good Time says, the mind, your heart, is where Satan lives. I'll give you a perfect example. You guys are not that smart, but I'll give you examples all day long. Well, I definitely am not smart. I would like to be smarter. Same goes for Moses, Yodidiao says. Lord God, Jesus Christ is the Lord God Almighty, says Belinda Thrasher. Hi, Belinda. See, I keep going there. Ugh. Well, if you say so, I don't follow Jesus, but if you say so, then good for you. When someone is jealous, that is an emotion from your heart. Nobody thinks to be jealous. Nobody wants to be jealous. It's something that the heart produces, right? Something like organic. D's nuts, says Free Palestine. I agree, D's nuts. Free Palestine from Hamas. Free Palestine from terrorism. Free Palestine from tyranny. Free Palestine from the oppression of those millionaires in the top of Hamas that are stirring the pot and using their own people as human shields. May Hamas be eradicated. And if not, may they surrender right now at this very moment, put down their arms, return the hostages, surrender. We can start negotiating real peace. Common sense will tell you that, says Good Times. Right, emotions, energy in motion, I heard. Sneezer says to Good Times, if God wanted us to think it out, we would have ages ago. We needed to grow and diversify. Needing to grow, possibly. Diversify, depends how you look at it. Orthodox, if I'm not mistaken, literally means straight path. And the 4 cubits of halacha that now exist in the world, according to Talmud in Masechet Brachot, right? God has the 4 cubits of halacha. That's why Orthodox Jews stick to it. That's why they have given up their very lives sometimes for that halacha, for that Torah that is also the oral Torah. Because no, diversity is not our strength in that sense. There is diversity within the Hebrew tribes. In the reality that we have now, being unified in our path of halacha, let's say, could have been a great boon to Israel. But no, there's the Ashkenazim and the Sfaradim and the Teimanim and the Moroccaim and the... Belinda says, Jesus Christ is the truth, light, and life. Repent and be baptized and believe in the gospel. Thank you, Belinda, for the words of, for the advice, rather. I believe that you believe Jesus Christ is the truth, light, and life. I believe he is a dead man, no more, no less. Be baptized. I do go to a mikveh every now and then, so I like it. I like the ritual bath. And believe in the gospel. You got me there. I do not believe in the gospel as a sacred or holy thing, but I do believe there's wisdom in there to glean and some very, very smart parables and stories about the person called Jesus. Good Time says, the guy saying Free Palestine, in his heart, he thinks he's the right guy. He's right. The guy everybody thinks in their hearts, you're right for what they do. It doesn't go like that. If you use your brain, you will realize he created us. We didn't create him, says Good Times TV. He continues and says, it's not up to what we think in our heart, what the rules should be. I can take in my heart playing PlayStation 5 all day long, get me to heaven, but I know it's not true. Right, so you equate Torah with truth, right? Torat emet natan lanu, baruch asher bachar banu. There's an aspect of Torah that corresponds with the attribute called emet. And I've spoken of it before, but even so, it does have good and evil in it, because it was given to us, people, good and evil, in a world post-Eden, a world of good and evil. Then return together, finding most of our differences nothing but misunderstanding, Sneezer says. So diversify and return together. So split up, hate each other, have the wars, but then come together at the end. It seems that is where it's going as far as I'm concerned, not necessarily have anything to do with Jesus of Nazareth or anything, or Christianity, but it seems that much like Keter and Malchut are on the same line, right? And there's a split, but then it becomes one again with Malchut. And Malchut has nothing of its own. Malchut is only of the 9 that were poured into it, the Tesha Nekudot as it's known. right? That poured their divine energy, revelation, eminence into it. Feel and express love, says Neil Warren. It's good to feel and it's good to express love. It's good to express love of self as well, as long as it's not pure ego. Sneezer said, or vanity. Sneezer says to Good Times, that's not his heart, but his mind, rationalizing what those with money are the aggressors. Those with money are the aggressors. I see. These nuts, killer! No, I haven't killed anything as far as I know, unless you mean like, am I a Noah Kirill fan? Killer? That's a different story. Good Time says, I think the problem with you, brother, and you're my brother, you need a friend. That's the only thing. You're on YouTube and you're looking around for friends. No, you know, everybody got jealous at least once in their life. Nobody thinks to be jealous. Nobody wants to be jealous. Okay. Jake Morrill says, you be talking a whole lot, but never talk about them tunnels. Jake, which tunnels are we talking about? The Chabad tunnels, the Hamas tunnels, the Hezbollah tunnels? Which tunnels? Good Times, Sneezer says to Good Times, not at all. I am highly fulfilled, jumping between conversations with strangers. On that note, let's skip. Skippity skip, skippity skip. Francis says, Shalom Shabbat. Ah, yes, Shabbat. It's a few days away, but it's good to remember it every day. Hey, Friahid, I already showed you my knees. I'm not falling for that again. I already showed you my knees. HN is a brother from another mother, says Neil. Thank you, I appreciate that. MOGG says, are you like a shampoo? What do you mean, like refreshing and smell of mint? Parasites, Adriana says. Which parasites? What are we talking about? Is this something new? If you're talking about me, I am indeed a parasite. Why, if you were here, I'd suck your blood, but because it's not kosher, I can't do it. So, you know, you can understand my predicament, right, Adriana? Sneezer says, Good Times. Yep, greeting, might you overrun, aren't the chosen? What? He says, Good Times says, he says in the tour, you're going to be living in the Torah, you're going to be living in their countries. The covenant is everlasting. The covenant is there, even if we are not entirely there. And the amount of population that's Israel, the tribes, the kingdom, it's like we're being torn apart over and over and over and over, and we keep on trucking. We don't forsake the Torah. We don't forsake the commandments. We don't forsake the covenant, and we power through. We power through. Oh, my woman. Hi, woman. Night, night. I love you, my bride. Good night to you. Tea Time says she's in the Netherlands. Yon, an unknown fact about Melech HaMashiach, sages and rabbis said, depending upon the worthiness of Israel, Melech HaMashiach will ride a donkey or come from the clouds. Well, look, that ride a donkey thing on Ani v'rochev al chamor doesn't precisely mean that, but Chamoro shel Mashiach, as it's known, the white donkey of Mashiach, is indeed a thing. As for coming from the clouds, no, I don't think so. That's said of the temple, not of the anointed one. Adriana says, God's chosen look like demonic rats. Well, again, God's chosen is something that we need to continuously be meriting and being worthy of. We're not God's chosen ones if we choose not to follow God. We're not the chosen ones if we don't choose to follow the covenant and the commandments. So God's chosen is something that my ancestors got, but I, here and now, in my life, need to live up to it and have it made manifest here. Also, chosen is not the same. I think humanity was chosen to be the image of God. And in Eden, there was no Israel and Gentiles. There was none of that. There was just mankind. And that's what I strive for. That's what I'm going for through the Hebrew lens and through the Torah and through the covenant of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. But again, going back to that root of humanity. So you can call me a demonic rat. I'm definitely demonic sometimes. And possessed by demons, perhaps. And as for a rat, yeah, I consider myself something of a rat as well because I'm disgusting. Yeah, so I am indeed that type of a rat. As a Jew, shalom, hi Alim, Shalom, my dear brother. When do you think Israel will fully be gathered? When we get our act together. I have no idea when. Hayom im bekolot tishma'u. Today, if you hearken to his voice. Today, even right now at this very moment. Everything can change. It can be like a light switch, or it can be like a dimmer switch. It can be through pain, or it can be through pleasure. It can be because we merited it truly and earned it through suffering and through persevering. Or it can simply be because God's like, that's it, it's done. Just like the flood came, when God's like, okay, that's it, humanity's done, that's it, okay, I can't do this anymore, right? They can't do this anymore. That flood will be not one that will bring death, but one that will bring life, right? A flood of God's Spirit, like it says in Yoel. Right? Dreams and visions and prophecy for all humanity. Good Time says, at least you don't believe in a fake Jesus, and I give you credit for that. No, as far as I'm concerned, Jesus is dead, and that's that. He's not a God, I don't consider him a God. Now, I only read the New Testament once, and since I read it once, I'm not a maven of any kind in the New Testament. All I know is Torah. And the Torah says, follow God, don't follow false idols. That's it. Don't follow the dead. Sabich sandwich, yay or nay. So as a vegan, I haven't had a proper sabich ever, I think. Because back when I was still eating animal products, I didn't like eggs. No, I didn't like eggplant at the time. I love it now, but I didn't like it at the time. And so I believe that I got not an entire sabich at the time, but definitely yay. Definitely yay. I hear it's mighty tasty. So yes. Good Time says, take it what you want. I don't care. I'll speak the truth. You can be in your feelings all you want. Okay, so you're... Okay. Oh, yeah, where was I? Most ignorant people... Oh, no, I'm sorry. Jesus loves. Hi, Jesus loves. I know Jesus is creator. He even spoke to me. He is God. See, once again, from the Alpha to Omega, the followers of Jesus see him everywhere, and I don't blame them for it. As far as they are concerned, he truly encapsulates God incarnate. Good Time says, well, I'm assuming to Yodidiao or someone else there, I don't have a hateful mind. You just don't like the truth. This is what God says. He wants the Jewish people not to mix with other nations. Yes, but that's, again, a means to an end. A means to an end. Israel is supposed to just do its thing, take on the yoke of Torah, and be able to carry it out in the best possible way. Have the oral traditions updating, not written down, updating. That's the ideal, constantly updating. And to go as one people, keeping that covenant. And then perhaps, right, like throwing a stone into a pond, it will ripple out. Right? It is that's your wisdom and your understanding, your knowledge. That's your smarts to the people around you, the nations around you. Good Time says, you deserve all the punishment because I remember all the hatred you guys put on the real Jewish people. And now you guys want to jump on the bandwagon because you see that the end is coming. People have always been saying the end is coming. Good Times, I'm curious. I'm not contradicting you. I'm saying, how is it that you see the end is coming, like actually, or are you always living in that, Geula sort of, in that redemptive sort of consciousness and mind? Neil Warren said, I think it will be on Thursday. Good Time says he's not going to forget, and I'm not going to forget. Most ignorant people, he continues, most ignorant people, read chapter 9, verse 21. It explains why you guys were going to be slaves throughout our history, and your forefather was ignorant also. Oh, is that G-E-N, Gen? Go read Genesis. I'm not sure. Are you talking about Cham there? I guess that makes sense, if it's Perek Tet. Okay. So Nezer says, it's okay to hate because I deserve it. Good Times. Nice justification. Good Time says, whatever you want, I'm just calling to get what it is. You can say whatever you want. If you want to call a heart, say whatever you want. It doesn't bother me. I think, he says, I think you can tell I'm not sugarcoating anything the way I'm speaking. No, good times, you are not. The truth hurts. Yes, the Tao Te Ching. Beauty is not truth. Truth is not beauty. Or words of truth are not beautiful. Beauty is not words of truth. The truth hurts, he says, but you can't spend the truth around just because you don't want to hurt people's feelings. And Caesar says, yeah, and hopefully you aren't in North America and liable. What? What's going on? What did I miss when I skipped? Good Time says there is good and bad everywhere, but when I speak about certain genealogies and certain nations, we're talking about the majority of the people. Okay? Neil says, spot on, follow God, but not false idols. Whether Christ was a false idol is up for debate. Some people definitely make a false idol out of Jesus. Definitely. Martin says, Jesus' name above every name. If you say so, Martin Johnson, Mr. Johnson. Good Time says, your forefather was ignorant what he did to Noah, and you became a cursed nation throughout time, not even from the children of Shem, but rather from Ham and directly from Canaan. Tea Time says, what I said about Melech HaMashiach, donkey or cloud, is apparently in Midrash or Zohar. Well, Zohar is a type of Midrash, but okay. Midrash or Zohar, I see what you mean. If you could find it, I don't remember it offhand, or I could, or perhaps even if I've heard these opinions, I could never cite them. So if you could, that would be cool. Leave a comment when this is done. Or, if you want to do it now, do it now. I don't know if I'll get to it, and I don't know what will be. Good Time says, nothing to do with Abraham, even. Totally different lineage, and you guys are not going to get punished, are going to get punished big time, and in the end also, believe me, your punishment's coming. Okay? Jesus loves says, man, how many times Jesus shows himself to Muslims and they believe in the gospel? Death, burial, and resurrection. Death, burial, resurrection. He did so many miracles, yet even back then, people refused to believe on him as God. You don't need to believe a person is God in order for them to conjure up miracles and change the forces of nature and manipulate them. That has nothing to do with making somebody God, not at all. But that's my opinion based on Tanakh. Lord of the Flyest says, all about the blood I can explain, must send it. $, Jorge C84, cool. Can't force anyone to seek Jesus and be saved by his blood. It might be a Tuesday, Neil says. He who goes into the grave shall not return, no damn resurrection ever, said Lord of the Flyest. And again, my idea of resurrection is eating of the fruit of the tree of life, not like the zombie leaving the graves and knocking over tombstones. Love the beard, man, says Corey. Love the beard. Love it. Thank you, I appreciate it. It just grows like that. I'm not really doing anything to it. But love is love always, says Neil. User GER says, if yous were attacked, would yous call the US first? Well, no, if I was attacked, I would probably contact local law enforcement first. And maybe my folks. On that lovely note, it's been almost 3 hours, and so I will take my leave. I love this. I love doing this. I appreciate every sub and every view, every comment, every troll, every quick glance, people coming in and zooming out. I love the conversation that's going on here. I hope it doesn't get too personal and that we are able to have a civil and respectful dialogue. That's what it's here, right? This channel is all about streaming and, talking about faith, spirituality, religion, self-development. That's what I'm trying to do here. And to always be bringing it down to earth. After all of the blah, blah, blah and philosophizing and my rants and my verbal diarrhea, as I put it, there's actual reality that I need to contend with when I hit end stream. And there's a reality that you need to contend with whenever the screen turns off. And it's this reality that I want to focus on in these few moments before I say goodbye. I would like, because I can only speak for me, to be that kind of person, to be the most me that I can be in the best possible way. And may God guide me and keep me from temptations. And if there are temptations, that he should keep me from giving into them, from laziness, pride, vanity, ego, hatred. That I should always be remembering the human that I shall always be remembering the covenant, and that I should be aiming high and striving de facto through actual deeds to go through it and be a blessing more than anything, to be a blessing in other people's lives, and what I hate not to do upon my neighbor. Not Shabbat, I mean, I was going to say shalom, and then I thought of Shabbat. So shalom to you all, lehitraot, meaning see you. Tomorrow, God willing, 9 p.m. Jerusalem time. It's so amazing. I am so, because you guys could be doing anything else right now, see? But you're doing this here with me, those watching now, those watching later. And I deeply appreciate your time, your kind attention. I appreciate the fact that you take time out of your busy day, and it is busy, or evening, or night, whether it's live, whether it's later. I love this little group that, is gathering here to learn, to expand the mind, to debate or argue as the case may be, and enrich each other's lives with different things. I relish these hours here, and I think it's lovely, even though someone said that I should not be so open-minded that my brain falls out. So maybe my brain has fallen out. Maybe I am too open-minded. Maybe I will discover that this has all been to the detriment, and I'm simply the scum of the earth, more than I think so right now. Regardless, I hope to behave and act in such a way and have my speech match as well, that I will be righteous inside and out through my own, dealings, whether it's divine revelation and the merit of an ancestor, I don't know what it is, and may I be able to live properly and be the best Yonatan that I can be in this life. And all of you out there, may you be the best that you can be. May you be the reason that somebody says, oh, maybe there is a God, right? Be a blessing in other people's lives. Be a blessing in your life. Strive. That's all we can do. Strive and do. Until then, until tomorrow, God willing. Chodesh Tov, almost.